Da 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 da. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Fallout 76. Today, with added soundtrack. It is a little in the background. I am gonna turn down a little bit of the music. I probably should have tested this before stream to make sure it doesn't like mess up stream, you know? I'm not actually sure if this is gonna mess it up, but we can fix it if it does. And also I need my handy dandy phone set up. Let's just pause Spotify for a second. Get on the dashboard. Let's take a peek at everything going on. Because right now I can't see anything. I'm blind. Folks, I'm blind. I gotta be honest. I am perfectly blind right now. Can't see anything. There we go. And now I can fix it. I know I don't have to like just look down anymore. It's all over there. Gotta fix it. Alright. Now I am gonna just quickly test this. I got into audio settings here. Why does that not do anything? The music's down, but it's still like, nope, we're still going. Let's turn that down. Is that the radio? The thing is, right now I'm trapped in this because I can't actually get out of Fallout 76 once I'm in Fallout, not 76, Fallout New Vegas. Put that at max. You know what? We'll just save it till next stream. I need to figure out the kinks. I'm gonna turn voices up, by the way, and effects down, so that the guns don't scare me this time. Oh wait, that's right. Hold on a second. Close Spotify. Put on, where the fuck is it? Fallout New Vegas. There we go. Fallout New Vegas, come back to us. I closed you, now come back. Where's the iconic? There it is. There it is, baby. Send it back. Alright. It is time to play more Fallout New Vegas. I was supposed to play Sport today. Like 5 minutes before, I was like, you know what? Fuck it, let's play Fallout New Vegas. I really enjoyed the last stream. I really enjoyed the last stream. It started off hilarious and it kept getting funny throughout from all the bugs and the one demon spawn I saw earlier. You saw that demon spawn? It was horrendously scary. But I still loved it. It was so fun. I say was like, it was so fun. Back in the day. You guys don't understand how Fallout New Vegas was back when it was a good game. Now you get on the roof, yeah? Roof. Oh, roof. Roof. Got him.
Post for that. And be quick about it.
I would shoot you, but I know what happens if I do. Let's skip and jump and check out this landscape. Beautiful. Would you look at that? The masterpiece of innovation. I wonder what happens if I turn it up to the high. I think I have it on medium at the moment, right? Hardcore mode off. Rest. True iron sights. I don't know what that means. Let's slap on. Where is it? Brightness is distant. I think we just slap on like object fade for everything. We don't have it. It looks weird. Everything just leaves. Crosshair on. General subtitles. All right, that all seems good. I don't think we can make it look any better. Whoop. Ah, my knees. Damn it. All right, that looks pretty decent. Now, where were we? Ah, yes, talking to this lady. She needed some medical supplies and stuff like that. I kind of robbed her of everything. Hi. This guy gonna say the same thing?
Between you and me, I don't think she studied at an accredited institution.
You don't think so? What do you think about this lady? What do you think about this? Like, scratch her butt and smell it? Okay, you can't do anything for me. All right, I'm gonna leave you be. Interns, they're not even here yet. All right. I guess we gotta go exploring and see if we can find anything that'll be of use. You over there! You! Stop right there! Stop! Stop it! And this will talk to you! Oh, you're a little baby. Alright, I'll leave you be. You're a little baby. Nobody cares. How you doing, Carol? Your name's Carol now, not Jane. Oh, this is the type of music I wanted to have. Hear that? Ooh, listen to that. Ooh. I don't know. I'm a sucker for old music. I love it. I can imagine like riding on a horse during this. Alright, we can't spend all our time doing this though, although I'd love to. Let's get going. Alright, now, I don't know if there's anything we can even do in Novak. Guess we have to just talk to a bunch of folks, right? Wasn't that the shtick? Boone, ooh, you're a name character.
But I need to focus on getting more rest when I'm off duty. I'm not sleeping so good. So now's not a good time. If you want to talk, catch me when I'm on duty. I'm up at the dinosaur after 9 p.m.
Bro, his lips are wider than he is. What is up with that? Did he put some like uranium lip balm on and now it's like destroyed all the pigments in his lips? It's gone. Hi there, partner. Sure about that? I can shoot you straight through the eye. Hit your brain pretty good.
We haven't met yet. You must be new in town. I'm Andy.
What's up, Andy? How you doing? What do you do here, Andy?
Right now, a whole lot of sitting on my keister and counting cracks in the ceiling.
That sounds pretty
I wouldn't
fun.
wish it on anybody.
On
better days, I help keep the peace. Boone and Vargas watch the road. I watch the town. Tell myself I'm doing some good.
You know, Andy, I could make this town very fun for you very fast, you know. All I gotta do is shoot a robot in the butt, and you got yourself a good old sheriff job. What do you say?
Was with them.
Wait, this is the guy that didn't like the NCR.
Work better. I still like to pretend I'm a ranger, though. I'll check in with the guys up at the station pretty regular on the ham radio. Sometimes they stop by, tell me they're paying their respects, the smug bastards. They haven't been responding to me last couple days. I guess they got tired of hearing me talk, but it still got me a little worried.
Oh, we can go up and check
Listen
him.
to me talk, like some damn mother hen.
Would feel better if I checked on your NCR friends. I'll go check on your little boys. These full rangers ought to be handling themselves. Rangers soft are probably already dead. I'm not gonna lie, they are a little soft. They're a little baby soft. They're like cute little baby boys, you know. When your aunt grabs your cheek and yanks it, that's kind of how they are with death. Very easy.
No, they're
Comes very easy to
gonna
them.
think I'm having trouble letting go. They're good soldiers. I don't give them enough credit.
Did you do something to your leg? What happened to his leg? I didn't see.
Yeah,
What happened to his leg?
twice. Actually, the first time it was more like half my body. Knocked me out of the Rangers.
Damn. He's still
This
kicking.
time, it's mostly just reminded me how useless I've gotten.
What happened?
A few years back, we get a tip that some Legion slavers were holed up in this burnout house a few clicks from where we were stationed. We get there and it's
Fuck the
deserted.
Legion, man.
No sign anyone's been there. I mean, nothing. As we're leaving, I hear something behind me. I turn around and there's this kid, just skin and bone, and he's looking up at us and he's scared half to death. Been hiding in a closet.
Oh.
I go to grab him out of there and I notice he's holding something in his hand. Something metal. He
Grenade.
shuts himself back in the closet and that's when I see the grenade he's left by my feet.
Oh,
They know
nah.
about the Legion, using kids. They know we'll hesitate.
We gotta kill the
That was
Legion,
first
man.
time. Second
I
time,
didn't like
fell
him
down.
already, but we gotta kill now. Your body is injured, but not your mind. You're kidding yourself if you think you're useless. There we go! If we didn't have this speech, then we wouldn't be able to hype up this man. Come on.
People don't exactly line up to find out what's in my head. Can't remember the last time someone suggested I knew something worth knowing. You know, maybe there's
I feel
something
kind
I
of bad
can't
for him now, you know?
Since you've gone to all the trouble of flattering a crippled old soldier, there's a move we have in the Rangers for knocking an
Ooh.
opponent off his feet.
Oh.
Saved my butt a bunch of times. Maybe it will for you too.
Oh.
Let me show you how it's done.
Yo, you learned the Ranger takedown special Bro, I was just empathizing with him. I was like, what happened to his legs? I gotta know. This technique initiate a power attack while moving backwards. Initiate a power attack while moving backwards. Wait, what? Ooh, we slice now. Did that happen before? Did that happen? I don't think I've seen that happen before. Ooh, we learned something new, boys. I'm loving this. Is there anything hiding behind here? You got anything cool hidden behind you not showing me? No, okay, they have the normal stuff going. That's completely fine, don't worry. I wasn't looking for anything valuable or anything. Well, why would I do that? Dumpster time. Ooh, you got some sunsets. Hey, yo, you guys may say they're expired. I say they're still worth drinking. Let's go. I'm actually gonna pop them right now. Where's my sunset margaritas? Ah, there we go. Oh, yes, good. Where's this? Huh. Hello? Free noodles? Every time, that door, every time. Free noodles, boys. I love
Prim wimped out and accepted NCR rule. Fine weather for flying.
Random old lady here.
That make me miss
You have more wrinkles than I think it's possible to have.
Vertibird pilot. 71
Ooh.
missions and only lost
Damn,
one
71.
function over Klamath. Hard
Bro,
landing, but
she's
I walked
epic.
away.
Grandma's got history.
I help folks strip down the more complicated bits of salvage they bring in. Engines mostly. The
Oh.
bits and pieces we take out are usually worth more than the whole thing put together.
Ooh. I don't know much about engines, gotta be honest.
Or, no, not exactly. It was a long time ago. Things are a lot different these days.
Bro, everyone has their own
Those days
story.
are
That's so
behind me.
cool. Alright.
Watch your
Bye-bye.
sex out there.
I'll watch my 6, 12, and 24. Don't you worry, Grandma. Don't you worry. I'll take care of myself. You just take care of yourself. Anybody home? Oh, somebody's home. Bruce? Isaac? You look a little different since I last saw you.
Oh, please don't kill me. I swear I'll have... Wait, you don't work for Mr. Bishop, do you?
Mr. Yeah, I do. It's time for you to suffer.
Please, no.
Oh. You know, I kind of expected him to beg and give me information, not gonna lie. Do I have to kill him now? Oh, man, do I have to kill him now? Is that like something I can't take back? But at the very least, they're not gonna know it's me. No one will know it's me. Bruce? What the fuck? What? He's in the ground! He's in the fucking ground! Where'd he go? Bruce? What happened to him? Did he just disappear?
Oh, please don't
Okay,
kill
here we go. No, what makes you think that?
Sorry, it's just... You look like his type, you know? You got that hard-ass wasteland explorer
Oh,
thing
here we go.
going on.
Aren't you the singer from New Reno? I think I saw you play at the clubs there. Why would Bishop be after you?
Oh, well, that's all just a big misunderstanding.
That's what they all say.
Mr.
That's what I
Bishop,
said as well.
He owed me a lot of money, and,
Ooh.
you know, he's a busy guy, so I sort of figured I'd just take it off his hands.
He just pickpocketed him. You robbed a casino boss. Even in real life, that's not a good idea. Okay, my tea's done. Even in real life, that's a death sentence.
Robbed is such an ugly word. It's more like I took
He
care
robbed
of a
him.
payroll problem for him.
You robbed him. Only
Also,
people who
I
have
might
robbed
have,
other people will say,
sort
I
of
don't like using the word
plowed his daughter.
robbed. It's
A little.
very demeaning to my profession. only people have robbed you. Well, hats off. That takes some
Thanks.
titanium
Fines me and I don't have his
nutsacks.
money.
Gotta say.
My balls are going to be on his trophy wall.
Ooh, does he have that? That's kind of kinky, not gonna lie.
Thanks. Oh, so you have heard of me?
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
heard of you.
I was the big draw at the Shark Club. People used to pay hundreds of caps to see me.
Ooh.
You don't know Mr. Bishop. He's not like other bosses up there. He knows the wasteland like the back of his hand.
Oh.
And he likes to wander it. I knew if I didn't get way the hell away from New Reno, he'd run me down like a
Where's
dog.
New Reno? Let's see if I can.
I-
Let's see if we get any different lines.
You do that?
Oh, we can get him new work.
I really
Ooh.
appreciate that.
Let's see if we can get work. All right, I thought there'd be like a quest or something in there, but there wasn't. Anything in here? Ooh, paint. You don't mind. He doesn't mind. He doesn't mind. We just take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but oh, we can even take this stuff. What? We can even take this. Motorcycle handbrake. Turpentine. I'll take some of that. That's a good drink. I love drinking some good old turpentine. Hey yo, goodbye, Ninja. Okay, he's broke. You broke. Okay, well, that checks out. We'll leave him be for now. The higher the charisma, the higher the nerve. Nerve grants significant combat bonuses. The companions. There's companions around here? Damn, somebody really oh, damn! Somebody definitely went crazy here. What? Did somebody just like do the dog thing? What happened here? It doesn't look good. I'm gonna dip. I'm gonna dip before anything's noticed, you know. That was my motel room. All right, we checked all the motel rooms. We talked to everybody. Oh, not all of them actually. Hold up, there's 2 more here. Danny Vargas. Vargas, where are you? Message to Can Hospitality. Made the right choice. Put in something, keep me quiet. Here we go. Found out where Manny Vargas was headed. Who's Manny Vargas? He made the right choice putting us up and keeping it quiet. This Weasley Benny's been twitchy since he stole that package from the boss, making me nervous as hell. But when I found out he'd be passing through on our way to Boulder City, I'm sure we could count on you. Let the other cons know what they want. I know where your loyalty is. One day you'll remember where you belong, and your brothers and sisters will welcome you back like you never left. Where to find us. Okay, I guess we can't do anything there. Ooh. I wish we could find a good sink eventually, you know? Like a sink where I don't feel bad drinking out of the toilet. A sink where I don't feel like I've gotten 5 different diseases just existing in that room. Boone! 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 Oh, damn, you got some bad marks in your room, Boone.
No offense, but I need to focus on.
Word on Camp Golf is that many NCR
Yeah.
Rangers can expect
He's...
redeployment
Oh,
in the near
what?
future.
What? I'm not doing anything. Turn off your radio, screw you. I'm out. Okay, he said 9, right? I have to wait now, I don't want to wait. So, let's see. Wait 7 hours. That'll take us 6. Then 12. 1, 2, 3. 9. There we go, 9. Boone should be Off then, and I could just talk to him, or on. I don't know which one. Boons! Bunny Boon Boon Boy! Wait, I just saw him leave. Boons, get back here! Boon!
No offense, but I need to focus on getting more rest when I'm off duty. I'm not sleeping so good. So now's not a good time.
I will
If wanna
shoot you
talk,
in the
catch me
head.
when
How
I'm
do you
on
think?
duty. I'm up at the
Oh, okay, he's going there now. Hold up.
Yeah.
We could just go up there first. I want to talk to him. He'll probably have seen where those guys went. I need to know. I need to know. You know what I mean? We need to know. Surprised he didn't know that the shopkeeper died. You know, that was kind of my doing. He was right behind the door, and he was like, you know what?
Suspended off a
I'm not gonna mess with that.
convicts after organizing an impromptu militia. This, according to an old man armed to the teeth with dynamite.
Nobody will know.
This program
Metal box.
is brought to you by Gomorrah.
50. You know what? That's kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of funny.
I'd like to play
Somebody's eventually gonna ask, hey, why do you have like 50 random, 460 T-Rex souvenirs in your bag? And I'll be like, listen, I can't really talk about it, okay? You're important to me. That's all I can really say. Let's actually toss a bunch of these. You can't remove quest items. Oh, okay, I can move those. What is the rocket suit? Rocket souvenirs are quest items? There we go. We got the music going.
Howdy. My name is Jed Masterson.
Ooh.
And
Has your life taken a turn?
There we go. I love that. Oh! He's not here yet. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Okay, do I have to really wait for him to walk all the way here? There he is. Hey, yeah, he's just taking a nap, you know, passed out from all the drinking, you know what I mean? He's spazzy. Here we go. Finally. Well, no, it's oh, and hi, Boone!
Don't sneak up on me like that.
Boo!
What do you want?
Oh, I said Boone, and he was like, boo! I heard there was a sniper nest up here.
I think you better leave.
What? Oh, come on, just making friendly conversation.
Friends here.
Only enemy. I don't have friends here. Joker, you and I aren't friends.
Wait. You just got into town. Maybe you shouldn't go. Not just yet.
Oh, wait, what? Why is that?
I need someone I can trust. You're a stranger. That's a start.
You only trust
I
strangers?
said it was a start. This town, nobody looks me straight in the eye anymore.
They scared of you? But you're just Boone.
I want you to find something out for me. I don't know if there's anything to find, but I need someone to try. My
Alright.
wife was taken from our home by Legion slavers one night while I was on watch.
Oh,
They knew
bro.
when to come, what move
Yes.
to take, and they only took Carla. Someone set it up. I don't know who.
Oh, it could be someone in the village.
My wife's dead.
This could be
I
bad.
want the son of a bitch who sold her.
Oh, easy, easy. What do I do if I find this person?
Bring him out in front of the nest here while I'm on duty. I work nights.
All right.
I'll give you my NCR beret to put on.
Woo.
It'll be our signal, so I know you're standing with him.
All right.
And I'll take care of the
What
rest.
if I don't have it on? Will he shoot both of us?
Myself. Good. I'll make it worth your while.
Oh, you are shiny, my good sir. One for my.
No one in town knows that I know what happened to my wife. Best they
Was
know
she
the
pregnant?
Legion
Oh
will
my
be after me
god.
next.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Ask God for information. Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're definitely gonna do that. I will find your wife. Don't you worry. Nah. Listen, okay. They could take they could take normal people. They could do crazy things to adults. But killing a pregnant woman? Nah. Nah. They're gonna die in the most painful way possible, but ripped apart by dynamite. They're gonna get ripped to shreds by dynamite. I'll make sure of that. I'll be the one throwing it all. Are these guys still out just chilling here, or they've gone inside? Okay, it's just the Moo out. Moo, let me have some of your milk. Come on! Oh, Delicious. All right. He looked at me like he was like, what kind of violation? What kind of, I love this radio. I didn't realize we had radios. Wasn't paying attention. So cool though. Ooh, those look like, hold on a second. What does that say? These are nukes. Bro. They just have these laying about? Let's see what we can make. Ooh, an auto-eject stim pack. Automatically use a 25% health. I need 100 science on that. 100 science? Dog hide belt. No, what the dog hide belt? They make it out of puppers? Oh no, somebody in this town's gotta die for that crime. Somebody in town's gotta die for that. What? To have it on the list, you have to have at least made it once. Somebody's walking around with a dog hide belt, and whenever I find who that is, shot in the head, dead. No one's gonna ask any questions. Jean May Crawford. Oh, Jean. Jean!
Hey there.
Jean. Hey, Jean. I gotta talk.
Awful late to be dropping in unexpected.
Yeah, Jean. Can you know about Bonnie's wife?
How should I put it? I guess you could say she was kind of like a cactus flower. Real pretty to look at, but there was just no getting close to her.
What?
She never did take to living here.
Oh.
She liked the big lights and fast living of New Vegas.
Wait. What if... Hold on. Hold on for a second. Let me put down the radio. But also, what if she never got kidnapped and instead she ran away with the Legionnaire because they promised her a better life, but then they just ended up killing her?
Is everything all right?
What's wrong with Boone?
Nothing that wouldn't be wrong with any man who loses a wife, I suppose. Poor dear. I know he thinks she was kidnapped, but
See,
I'm so sure she didn't
see,
just
I was right. Yeah. I'm sure. From what I've known of her so far from her, just seems like that. All right, let's go to everyone's house. Knock, knock. Late night shift. Late night shift. Let me just take the broad machete out of my hand. I feel like I'm going in too hot, you know. Where's the front door? There's the front door. Novak house. Oh, damn, all right. Oh my God, this kid is horrible. Ooh, I don't think I could live in a house like this, gotta be honest. Oh, there's 3 people here. Damn, all right.
Howdy.
Can I talk to them, by the way?
If it weren't for the water caravans, Novak would have turned to dust a long time ago.
Here we go. Oh. What? What? Is this how all, you know, I'm waking all you up.
If you're planning on staying a while.
All right, folks. See you later then. But you don't want to talk to me, man. What? All right, so let's go check out the other houses. We need to know who killed his wife, because I'm going to kill them. Oh, by the way, let me slap on, where is it? No? The Burrell. There we go. How do I look? Oh, I look tough now. I look like a red beret. I don't know if that's a real... Do they never sleep? All right, let's just go in and check it out. Hello, wakey, wakey. Oh, here we go. Somebody that may be able to talk to me.
Don't listen to a word Nobark says. I don't think...
Who's Nobark? Shut up.
As the new sheriff, that should keep the powder gangers away.
Hey, yo. And I did that. This is poster. Build mass with sass. Sunset Sparella. Woo! Guys, I've been drinking so much, you're gonna see just bulging muscles. I'm gonna be so big by tomorrow. Definitely not skinny. Definitely not skinny. Absolutely large. Woo! Sing it.
do for you?
All right, you need to tell me about. Okay, you're useless. You're useless. What?
Between you and me, I don't think
She hasn't
she
paid me
studied at
anything
an
yet.
accredited
Should I be worried?
institution.
These guys are useless. These guys are absolutely useless. I only got one person who I could talk to so far about this. Everyone else is just avoiding the question. Let's go talk to everybody else here. Alright, Andy. Could it have been Andy? Could it have been Andy though? Really? Andy, my
Hang of
man?
that takedown. I had trouble learning it at first, too.
You tell me about Boone's wife.
Carla was a knockout. Whenever Boone walked around with her, he always had this funny grin on his face.
Ah, lucky man, lucky
No,
man.
we couldn't. That wasn't the only reason she stuck out, though. That girl never minced words.
Huh?
If she'd had better food or hospitality, she'd let you hear it. Trouble was, she usually had. I
Oh.
don't think she meant it. She really was a sweet girl. I think she just wanted to remind herself that there's still nicer places in this world than Novak. Who could blame her for that?
That's fair, that's fair. What's wrong with Boone? Tell me about the Rangers.
I'm not coming on.
Just cause you're idle and you never walk again. I already did this though. I already did that.
A baggage courier found shot in the head near Good Springs has reportedly
What?
regained consciousness and made a full recovery. Now
Oh.
that's a delivery service you can count on. Also, the death toll continues to climb around Camp Forlorn Hope, where Legion raiding parties are still chipping away at the NCR's hole south of the dam.
Hello?
Program was brought to you
Howdy.
by Gamora. Go
What?
Gamora.
Grim is a new sheriff. That should keep the powder gangers away.
Hey, Ryberus, have you ever said you love someone when it wasn't quite
Sheriff,
true?
what the fuck was that? Why did they just come at me?
Because it's a sin to tell a lie.
Okay, well that was an interesting radio station. Can I get something a little more, or maybe less depressing, maybe? Oh, it's back.
If so, the Sierra Madre Casino in all its...
If you're hearing this, I have a job offer for you.
Oh.
Happy Trails is organizing an expedition north into Utah on
Oh.
the Long 15, and we need people. We're looking for caravan guards, prospectors, couriers.
Day 2, new character? No. Same character, same guy. Same character, same guy, just Day 2 is streaming it. Let's slap on the New Vegas radio, it's actually the better one. It's Day 2, same guys, same me. Just Day 2 is streaming it. You guys are a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. Hello? Hello, Peekaboo? What? Oh, I think, did I kill him? Did I kill the guy that probably had...
Be sure it's true when you say I love
You know, I might have killed the guy that actually was the reason that all this happened.
you. Got sense enough.
Oh no, but it can't be that lady. Who else could it be? There's no one else in this entire town. They're just like, yes, find the criminal. Wait. They could come out of there. Let's go to sleep for now and get to the morning though. Come on, let me in. Let me in. Ooh. There we go. Alright, we're good. Alright, time to go to sleep. Sleepy, sleepy till 9 a.m. Woo, good time to wake up. 9 a.m. Fully bright outside and you're loving the day. Alright, let's go. You are well rested. Alright, we gotta find whoever our quest at the moment is. For my one baby. Here we go. Ask around for information about the kidnappers. Oh, it's actually showing us. Ooh, yes. I'm so glad I clicked that. Nice that you're actually playing the radio music. Yeah, I wanted some music in the background.
Program. This is Mr.
Oh.
New Vegas, and I hope I'm not coming on too strong.
What?
We've got some news for you coming right up.
We got some news?
The death toll continues to climb around Camp Forlorn Hope.
Oh.
Legion raiding parties are still chipping away at the
Right.
NCR's hole south of the dam. Moving on. NCR officials at Camp McCarran
Hold on, we gotta listen to this.
when technical difficulties with its this trip.
Oh, okay, blah, 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 blah,
Town,
blah.
ain't you? Name's Dusty.
Alright, can you tell me about Bovac's wife? I just barged into his house and I'm like, can you tell me about Bovac's wife? I really need to know about Bovac's wife.
Rather be someplace else. This kind of life ain't for everyone. That's for darn sure.
I don't think it's him. I don't think he did that. It could have been the lady.
Look who's here.
She looks fucking pretentious as hell. I think it might be her. What can you tell me about Boone's wife?
Boom. That's that sniper fellow.
Yeah.
Dinosaur, right? I only met them but once or twice. They seemed real happy together.
Sure.
I really ought to get to know them better. They're probably nice folk.
She's dead, by the way.
Oh, well, I'm Alice, and you've already met my beau, Dusty. He's
Alright, I don't think it's her. I don't think it's anyone I've met so far. Everyone else is kind of nice now. Maybe they just like, oh, somebody random comes asking about Bo's wife. Oh, they were the loveliest of couples. You know, they're like playing it up. They could be. Because they don't want to die. They don't want to catch these wahwams, you know. I'm not at Night Stalker killing level, but it can definitely knock your brains and jiggle them about. You'll definitely get some brain damage if you mess with me. One of my fave New Vegas songs. I love it. It is a pretty good song. I'm a sucker for oldie songs, though. I've always been. Some oldie songs just hit the right spot and they sound really good. Oh. Oh, did I get stuck? No, I can get out of this. I can get out. Oh, come on. I might have gotten stuck here, not gonna lie. I just wanted to jump the fence! Come on. Oh, we're all fine. Alright, good. Woo! I thought we were gonna get stuck there. Ooh! Oh, yeah? You know what, actually, let's turn that up. This feels like something I'd listen to.
Careful. They got spies all over.
What? No bark?
Who sent you? I ain't talking.
Okay, hold on, we gotta turn that back down.
They tried to get me to talk before, but I didn't say nothing.
Here we go.
And I don't aim to now, by gum.
Uh-huh. I don't mean any harm, old man. I just need to know about someone's wife. Not trying to fuck him, I'll be honest. I'm not trying to. He's already dead.
Old stick is feeling mighty ornery this day.
With my sticking knife. I got my stabbing knife and my sticking knife. If you're gonna be weird, I'm just gonna leave. We can talk from a distance.
You sure now? It's kind of hard to hear you.
This man is gonna be hard. You said you'd stab me with a knife.
Okay, just speak up a little.
Okay,
Not so much that they
That old man.
people everywhere, always listening.
Uh-huh. What do you know about the abduction of Bone's wife? You seen anything? You heard anything?
Seen it all.
Oh.
Seen shadowy folk come to his room and leave again in the middle of the night.
What?
Thought one might have gone in the lobby too for a spell.
Ooh.
Could be that person went in to get something. Or used the John, maybe.
Oh, Lord.
Mighty interesting either way, you ask me.
Oh, huh.
Cannibals come to eat us all for sure. So I kept.
You know what? In the wasteland, it could be.
Now I'm no better. Let me know.
Oh, wait a second. Wait.
Seen them too, haven't you?
Wait, he was talking a lot. Who was it?
More red men.
Okay.
From the underneath.
I don't know why I
Young
expected
women
a good
with
answer
houses
from
and
him.
riches and fancy mud mansions with all the.
It's the mole rats! The living mole rats! Alright. Gonna leave him be. I didn't know that they were talking about a man named No Bark. I thought it was like, you know, a nickname or something. Do you know anything about them, Victor?
Hey there,
You know anything? No, he doesn't know anything. He's a little baby. He doesn't know anything. Pretty sure I talked to other people already, but it's showing me that I haven't spoken to a few people. I spoke to. Am I supposed to speak to him more? Is that just the speak to him thing? The most sane Alabama citizen. You know how it'd be? No. The most sane Ohio citizen. They're a different breed. You know what I mean? Did I not go to this house already? Pretty sure I went. Yeah. That's that house. All right. Who could it be? Who could it be? Oh, never mind. No accreditation. Yeah. Ooh, wait, I kind of like this song. Hold up. Ooh. Da-da-da-da-da-da. You see, I don't know who it is. I can't tell. Optional, look for evidence of the guilty party inside the Dino D Light lobby. The Dino D. Oh, it's over here. Wait. Let me find the lobby first. I'm pretty sure that said Dino D Light lobby, right? Hold on. Dino D Light front desk. Where's the lobby then? Let's take a peek inside these cabinets. Nothing in there. Nothing around here that really says anything. Hold short move. You don't know anything, do you, Jenny? I don't think she does. Let's go to the Dino actual place over here. The little shop. Let's take a peek. Dun, 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 dun. The gift shop. Hey, where's the lobby?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Where's the lobby?
New Vegas, thank
Hey, yo, I did not climb this. Hold up. This is actually sick. How far up can I go?
you. You know what that means.
Let me get to the head. Come on.
Time for
Damn it, I can't get any higher. It would have been cool if I could just poke myself on its head. I'd be the tallest, most happiest man in the world.
Reactivate the facility. The chief scientist at the plant vowed to fix the problem, blaming it on an atmosphere of, quote, severe underappreciation. In other news, patrons of the
Where's the lobby?
are questioning whether its pricey restaurant, the Gourmand, is overstating the fullness of its wait list. Those who claim to have dined at the restaurant find the food appealing, but say many tables remain empty.
Oh.
The pre-seating segment was sponsored by the Silver Rush.
Silver Rush, you say?
Feel the rush of a warm laser in your hand.
Don't listen to a word no buck
Yes,
says.
baby,
Spouts nothing but nonsense.
Crosby
Oh, damn, alright. I guess I don't want to listen to him anymore then.
absolutely have to
I'd stop looking for the mole rats now. I was looking for the mole rats this entire time, like you said.
up next.
Alright. Now, where is the lobby? Ooh.
Howdy.
Where's the lobby? Could that be the lobby? Is that the lobby over there? Let's check it out. That doesn't quite look like a lobby, but it could be. Maybe one of these houses are the lobby. Maybe the lobby is... The lobby would be the front desk. I'm being dumb. Let me check the trash though, just in case, like... Cigarettos and nothing in there. Alright. We're managing this quite well. After this, I'm gonna go find some Legionnaires and kill them. Just because I feel like it. Oh, traders are here. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome in, welcome in. That'll be 500 caps a night. They'll give it to me later. They'll give it to me. They'll give it to me later. Now, who do we send under the block? The real question is not who's guilty. It's who we hate the most. And I can't get Boone to shoot himself. So, who do we send? You know, there is one person that's a little suspicious. The guy downstairs. Not Boone. Stop, it's not. Boone, you killed them. You actually have schizophrenia, Moon. Wait, hold on a second. Wasn't there something on his terminal? They're just putting us up and keeping it quiet. This weasel Benny's been twitchy. McMurphy? That seems a little suspicious, don't you think? No one has a working computer in the wasteland. It's impossible.
Welcome back to the program. This is Mr. New Vegas.
A little suspicious, not gonna lie.
Coming on too strong. It's just about time to get you some news. Tensions are brewing in Freeside between the ruling gang known as the Kings and the large
Wait, hold on. Let me look at the map.
squatters seeking refuge there. The leader of the Kings, who
Andy,
only identified
map,
himself
front
as
desk.
the King, voiced his displeasure, calling NCR
McBride.
citizens, quote, the devil in disguise.
Didn't I check McBride's house? I checked it.
See the NCR in the ghetto and call
Jean
for a
May
mass
Crawford's
vote,
house.
return to sender. One
Gift
more
shop.
story for you.
And the Rangers
Springs
bungalow.
suspended off a mob of escaped convicts after
And that's probably
organizing
no name over there.
This according to an old man armed to the teeth with dynamite. You know,
I think they're talking about me, not gonna lie. I was armed to the teeth with dynamite.
awfully dull, if that were the case.
Alright, let's go talk to him. Maybe he knows.
Beats the destination, and especially if your spurs go jingle, jangle, jingle, and you meet some nice gals along the way.
Here we go.
What's going on, man?
Oh, what? Who are you? What?
I'm Manny. I'm on security detail here.
Oh, wait a
You see
second.
a rifle barrel sticking out of the dinosaur's mouth? You got a 50-50 shot it's me.
Oh,
Otherwise, it's
damn,
a-
alright. He's the last guy we can talk to. Who's Boone?
Boone's just...
Okay, he's a sniper. Yeah, we know Boone. You got bad terms with Boone?
Me and his wife. We didn't see eye to eye on some things.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on a
One
second.
day, she turns up missing, and he hasn't said a word to me since.
Your gun looks very nice. Unrelated, your gun looks very nice, you know. What is that, a duct tape back handle? That's gotta take some time. You know, that looks pretty good.
And you name it. See,
Let's hear him out, though. Let's hear him out. We're not crazy.
We were some bad seeds. Got in with a gang. I loved it. Then something happened, and I couldn't handle it anymore. So I enlisted, earned my future, brought down my best friend to share that future with me.
Alright.
And here was this woman who was too good for it, trying to take him away. So yeah, I
Oh.
didn't see eye to eye with the bitch.
Oh, damn. You have everything to do with the disappearance.
Believe me, when I heard the news, my first thought was, I owe somebody big. I figured Boone would come around after a while. But he hasn't.
Maybe he just gotta die either way.
Things will never go back to the way
It
they
does
were.
sound like a big bitch, though, not gonna lie.
Man, everybody. That girl didn't have one friend in this whole town.
Yeah, they
She
did
didn't
speak
want
to her
anyone.
very
She wanted
weirdly
to see
nice,
her
like,
around
oh, she's a
all day,
lovely
makes her
lady.
miserable. She
Nothing
would
nice
have
about her.
rude.
They said nothing
She
nice
upset
about
a
her.
lot of people. You wouldn't have liked her either.
So we're in a gang? Were they tough? I gotta be honest, I don't know if anybody actually killed them in this town. It could have been this guy. It could have been, Cliff. It could have been Cliff. But he's kind of dead now, so we're never gonna know. We're just never gonna know. Let's talk once more to my man. Let's talk once more to Andy, and then we make a decision.
Hey, any word on Station Charlie?
You tell me about Boone's wife.
Had his wife taken. I don't think he'll ever be the same as he was. Damn shame. I told the Rangers up at the station to keep an eye out, but there's just too much ground out there for them to cover.
I don't think it's him. Andy, my boy, I'm so glad it's not you. I'm so glad it's not you. Oh, I would have been really sad if it was him. We gotta choose now, though. We gotta choose. We do have to wait till 9 p.m., though. We gotta wait, Who's the person we like the least? I like that blonde bitch the least, gotta be honest. She seems very fake. Boone. Boone, my boy. Boone, get back here. Watch your wife.
You shouldn't be here. If people know we talked, they'll suspect you. And if whoever did this smells a rat, they'll have the Legion after both of us.
Okay. How do you know your wife is dead?
I know, all right. That's all you need to know.
A little suspicious, suspicious. All right, hold on.
And we're back.
Let's follow him till his little thing. He does not care as soon as we get there.
And I'm not just talking about radiation. I've got news for
Alright.
you. Brewing in Freeside between
Alright, hold on.
ruling gang
Let's
known as
shut up the
Kings
radio.
and the
It's a tense
large
moment.
You shouldn't be here.
Okay.
Don't.
Apparently we can't talk to him. Let's bring someone we don't like, folks. Let's bring someone we don't like.
The leader of the Kings, who would only identify himself as the King, voiced his displeasure, calling in
The King.
citizens,
The
quote,
greatest name
"devil in
possible.
disguise."
Like he didn't know names. He's like, what do we call you, sir? You're our king.
And
Call me
for a
the
mass
king.
vote, return to sender.
It's so bad.
So in the headlines,
It's so dumb.
rumors persist about a super mutant
Alright.
refuge
I think it could be these guys here.
to the northwest.
Let's just go see him
If you
once
should
more.
find it, do
It
not
could also be it could also
do
be the
not
crazy guy.
rule a
Talked about the
super
rats.
for taking the buddies.
What brings you here?
Come with me. That's like you see in front of the dinosaur.
It's kind of late, but I guess if it's important to you.
Next,
She does not know who I am. I am a little stranger and she's still following me. She's the most insane person I've ever met. She's following me in the middle of the night to a random location because I asked for it. She's insane. She's insane, but I think it's her. Gotta be honest, I don't know how to get more evidence and I'm pretty sure it's her.
What brings you here?
Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Follow me, lady. We're all gonna be all good. Don't worry about it. I just have to talk about some hush secrets I heard about your husband. You know what I mean? It's real hush business. Trust me, you're gonna love it. Real secret stuff. Boom! Sorry about that. I like making loud noises at night. Yeah, let's talk about. All right. And she had nothing good on her. I should have shot the other guy. The guy with the Yeah. Something happened over there. Don't know what happened. Wasn't me. I did not touch a gun. I'm unarmed. See, I'm completely unarmed. Can't arrest me. I'm unarmed. All right, let's go talk to Boone. Let's go talk to Boone. If it comes out that she wasn't the one, whoops, whoopsie. Boone, my boy. We friends again?
That's it then. How did you know?
She was a bitch. The story didn't add up. Just a hunch. I just wanted you to kill her. No. He's gonna feel really bad. Him and his micro eyes over there. Why his eyes so... I don't want to be mean to him, but I just realized he has an egg head. It's shaped like the eggs I had this morning. Or the other day, more like not this morning. Sorry, boo. Sorry. Let's keep talking. Let's keep talking.
Have any proof?
The story didn't add up. It was the shifty eyes, yeah. It was the closer proof there was.
God damn it, this wasn't supposed to be a guess. She might not have done a goddamn thing. Get out.
Oh.
I don't ever want to see you here again.
Oh.
Stay the hell away from me.
I completed the quest.
if you've come to the right place.
I love you, Boone. One day, you'll understand. He was a bitch.
The Helios 1 solar power
I gotta, this radio has way too many breaks. We're switching to the Mojav music radio. They talk way too much on that other one. Alright, well, I think that's about all I have to do here. Let's check out the quests. They went that way. Intercept the great Khans at Boulder Valley. Find the men who tried to kill you. We could do that. Spread the word of the atrocities of the Legion. Where's this go? Like, yes, there's a specific person you have to tell. Oh, damn, we have to go back. We can go back to Mojav. I can actually dip to Mojav. Let's get some quests done. I need all that XXXP that I can level up a bit more. Oh. Who do they want me to tell? Is it you?
Heard you helped out Jackson. Thanks for that. Caravans are still waiting for clearance to move out, but at least there's movement.
At least there's movement. Legion attacked Neptune, burned and killed everybody. It was horrible. Some of the ones on the stakes, they shot their heads off afterwards.
What? There's no way. We're miles from the Colorado. They aren't even waiting for the dam to fall. They're already inside the borders.
They're crazy.
We'll never stop them. Not at this rate.
Oh no, I'm out of... I think he's having an existential crisis. It'll be okay. Pat. Sergeant, it'll all be good. It'll be okay, Sergeant. It's okay. Maybe. Probably not, honestly. Probably not. They're gonna kill us all. The Serra Madre invitation. I heard about this. How far away is the Serra Madre? Oh, damn. It's not actually too far. And they need help for Camp Forlorn Hope. Let's go. Let's go! Oh, and we leveled up to level 6? Yo! We leveled up to level 6, let's go! Should we level up speech? I feel like speech is becoming much more necessary to have my way in this world. And it's not looking good if, I can't do speech all the time. You know what, let's get to level 35. Get to 35. Let's see. Melee weapons, repairs, sneak, science. Science would be kind of nice, but I kind of want more gun. I'm not gonna lie to you. More gun makes me, the dopamine goes brrrr in my brain, you know? Intense training. I want that. Swift learner. Cannibal. Oh, with the cannibal perk, when you're in sneak mode, you gain the option to eat a corpse to gain health. Every time you feed, you lose karma, and if the actors witness, it's considered a crime against nature. I could be an insane man. We could. Oh, exploded him. Bloody mess. The bloody mess perk characters you will kill off and explode. And you'll do 5% extra damage with all weapons. 5%'s not bad, honestly. Fortune Finder. The Fortune Finder perk, you considerably more bottle caps and containers than you normally would. It's between Bloody Mess, Cannibal, and Intense Training, to be honest. You know what? I'm going with Intense Training. 8 strength. 8 strength! Yeah. Oh, look at me. Damn! Bodybuilder, they got him to flex there. There we go. If I can get all of that to level 10 as my base stats, that'd be sick. Alright. It's time to traverse the valley. We gotta be strong, folks. We gotta be strong. The only thing we have to do is change this radio to something better.
The chief scientist at the plant vowed to fix the problem, blaming it on an atmosphere of, quote, severe underappreciation.
10 a.m.
Good Springs has fended off a mob of
There we go.
escaped convicts after organizing
Let's go!
an impromptu militia. This, according to an old man armed to the teeth.
I
with
could
dynamite.
eat, you know, if no one was here, I could have eaten her. Gotta be honest, I could have eaten her.
In Vegas, we know the pain that numbers can bring us. Well, so does Guy
I can take that mountain.
Heartaches by the number.
You know, these roads are actually kind of empty. Kind of expected to see more people trying to kill me over here. Ooh, you know what? I do have some good stuff to sell. Sir! Come over here. Let me sell you some stuff.
Hey there. Need anything?
You know, landing maybe?
Sure.
I'd love to land. Let's see. We have that. We have grenades. Absinthe. We take some of that. Rat meat. I'm gonna give you all this stuff. Atomic cocktail. Saving that for later. Bandana. Biker goggles. Buff out. 60. Oh yeah, I need some of that. I got two. Oh, that's 412. All right. I'm gonna need some more of those buff outs, please. You got any buff out? You got any buff? Buffing it out? I'm gonna take some of those. Got some good old beer. I think that's a pretty good trade. Pretty good trade if I do say so myself. There we go. Now we can just go. Hands off. Look at that. Nice. Oh! Turn it up a little bit. We're traveling. Woo! These radios are fire. They make all these songs just for this game, or some of them like public domain games or something. Public domain songs, I mean. I'm not shaming it if there are. I've listened to some old public domain songs. They're bangers. There's some bangers in there. Oh wait, that's just a lizard. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. That's just a young fire gecko. Kill it! Kill it! Oh yeah, I can take that thing. I can take it. Let's reload. Oh, what? Young fire, bro, I thought that was rhetorical. I didn't know they actually breathe fire. What? Kill it. Straight in the head. There we go, got it. Crippled in the head. Yeah, okay, got it. Reload. Woo! Bro, they come at crazy. Little busy right now. Ah!
Mr. New Vegas, and I'm here for you. Well, you know what that means, folks. Time for some...
Ah! No! Bro, I just... they look like dinosaurs. They look like fucking dinos. What? Alright. Ah, the radio's back on. The radio just casually went back on. Let's get out a stronger gun. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm waiting. I'm gonna wait for them. They're gonna come eventually. Ooh, Heartaches by the Number. Sounds like a good song. Ooh. Huh? Yeah. You know, you could go on a nice little, like, drive with this, you know? Driving in the highway, driving on the freeway, somewhere where you don't have to focus too much on, like, turning and everything. I'm waiting for him. I know you're coming for me. Left, right, center, I got all sides. Take him out. Damn it, it's not working. Okay, let's get something else out. Incinerator. You think you're the ones who can breathe fire? I can breathe fire too, you hear me? There we go. Oh, they're a little immune actually. Hold up, they're kind of immune. Oh no 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 no. Bros, this is bad. Maybe no, hold on, maybe the one closest to me. This one right here. Yo! What? Oh, I thought I won! Oh! Bro, I literally got shot and it was like, yep, that's how it is. That's how it is.
Of escaped convicts after organizing an impromptu militia. This according to an old man armed to the teeth with dynamite.
Fair.
That's the news. In New Vegas, we know the pain that numbers can bring us. Well, so does...
So we're going around now. You know what? I'm gonna avoid them. Not because I'm scared of them, just because, you know what? They need a break. They're suffering as it is, being able to breathe fire. I'm gonna leave it as it is. I am gonna just casually get out my, sledgehammer and walk around with it, though. Just in case. So I go, woo! No. Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh, look at that! That was basically like a twirl. How to expand the number. What's that? Huh? This is a place? Hold on. Toxic dump site. Anything good around here? Ooh, hold up. Nah, he doesn't have anything good on him. You'd think at a toxic waste dump, somebody important died. Guess not. Alright, let's go up the right side. Heartaches by the number. Ooh. Yes, I've got heartaches by the number. A love that I can't win. Okay, they're over there. We can leave them be. No! Oh, come on! You know what? Nah. Nah, I'm not taking this. All for the head. There we go. Critical strike. Hit him again. I'm not taking this. I'm not. No. I ain't taking this. I went out of my way to avoid you. Okay, none of the rest of them came. We're good. Oh, there's the road. Was I supposed to follow the road? Was I supposed to follow the road? My bad. My bad. You know, I wish there was a button so that I could, like... I think they might see me, guys. Friendly! This might be more intimidating, actually. Friendly! Friendly! Absolutely friendly. Nothing you have to worry about.
Up there.
What?
This area is locked down by the NCR military until we can dislodge some Legion snakes from Nelson.
What? The name's Ryberus. That definitely means something to him. The name's Ryberus.
My apologies, but that name and face ain't ringing the old school bell upstairs.
I knew it. What was that gonna do? You may not know me, but I'm a friend of the Legion. I'm no friend of the Legion. I'll lend a hand in getting rid of them. Yo, the speech is doing it for me. Yes.
Fair enough. It's not like any of the troopers around here are jumping up to volunteer. If you had a few dozen doses of Psycho on you, maybe we could pep those weepy troopers into charging down into Nelson.
I got more than a few dozen doses. I got everything. How many do I have?
We take out the Legion's trooper hostages.
I definitely have a few. Why don't you have the authority to command the troopers to go into the camp? Yeah, this guy is a ranger. He's like, I have authority. You cannot pass here. Also, we... No, I'm under orders.
I'm a ranger. They're troopers. Different branches.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
As a super mutant's backside.
What I'm hearing is you're a little baby. That's all I'm hearing here. Little baby, cuckoo gaga.
The troopers won't go down into camp with their comrades at risk.
Oh.
Dirty game, the Legion likes to roll out whenever they get a chance.
Oh, okay, no problem. You know what? I'm in.
Good.
I'm in.
If we clear out the hostages, they lose their advantage. They're down in a clearing, crucified on some telephone poles.
Back in your own backyard? Alright, I like the name of that.
Boys should be put out of their misery, not pinged to death with some old varmint rifle. And don't get any
varmint rifle?
notions about
I have a varmint rifle.
these boys out.
What are you talking about, varmint rifles? Kill all NCR hostages. Oh, I thought I was saving them. Never mind. Ha. Never mind. He's talking about the varmint rifles, by the way. They're gonna die by varmint rifles. Also, why is he so fast? What? 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 I thought... Am I not running? No, I am running. Oh. Hey, yo. Alright, hold up. Hello? There we go. Alright, it glitched for a second. It's time, folks. We gotta kill him. Hey, you. Stop throwing those spears. You look dumb. Yeah. Get a headshot instead. It'll make you feel better. I can also offer a good old lobotomy. Oh, whoa. Did you see that? Bro, that came harsh on me. Why don't I just save you guys the trouble and kill them all myself? Would that not save the trouble? Come closer. Come closer. There we are. Nice, good headshot territory. There we go. There we go. So if you keep landing up, I'm gonna have to keep shooting you in the head if you keep doing this. What? That last shot didn't even hit. Let's heal up. Can't die here. Can't die, won't die. Can't die, won't die.
Camp at Bitter Springs has caused a strain on rations there. NCR officials are asking for donations. In addition,
no one noticed me. Squirrel on a stick, delicious. He shoved it up the poor ass, the guy's ass. All around, honey. The caravan shotgun's actually better than what I have right now, so I'm gonna take it as well.
Because of the age of the train and the scarcity of the replacement parts. That news was brought to you by the top.
They have solar panels? Bro, that's so expensive. I'm gonna take some of those.
And now,
one of them inside here, alright.
Reminding us what really matters with Love Me As Though There Were No Tomorrow. Because in New Vegas, hey, you never know.
Ooh, that's good. I like this one. Knock, knock. Coming in. Oh, what? They'll sleep in what area? Alright. Makes sense, makes sense. There's a lot of food here. Oh, yes! They're evil people, okay? They're evil people! They're evil! Come on, man! You can't shame me for taking their stuff! They're horrible people! That's a lot more than 3. Hold on. We gotta go sneaky style. And if you see them, just pray they don't see you. How far can I chuck dynamite? Oh, wait a second. There we go. Oh, yo, we can chuck it far. Yo, keep going, keep going, keep going. Yes! We got him! Woo! You have a poor impression of the community and may be shunned from Caesar's Legion. Aha! I don't care, I'm not hated. Well, that's too bad. That's too bad now, isn't it? They don't like me, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo, whatever am I going to do? I have to be liked by everyone, guys. How could I not be liked by Caesar's Legion? Oh no. Oh no, whatever will I do? Hey, listen. We really gotta talk here, alright? Stop. You're a recruit, you don't need to do this. Well, they landed in the funniest position. What is that? What is this position? Look, they just got suplexed. Alright, well, I think I cleared everyone out pretty decently. Finish off the boys here. Now, I know they said don't finish them up with varmint rifle. Give them a good old, thing. I'm just gonna do this.
Radio New Vegas, your little jukebox in the Mojave Wasteland. I am Mr. New Vegas, and I'm here for you.
Did I do it?
It's about time to get you some news.
Oh no, that's just making him suffer. All right, finish this off a little quicker then.
Successful riot. Locals should avoid anyone who looks like they've done time.
Oh, what? I'm getting shot. I'm getting... Bro, I thought they were all dead.
Difficulties with its monorail line to the New Vegas Strip proved easy to fix.
There we go. Critical strike.
Serious mechanical failure would have been a disaster because of the age of the train.
Oh shit, I'm not on you.
Of the replacement parts.
There we go.
Well, that's all I have for you. This is Mr. New Vegas wishing you lady-like luck tonight.
Yeah, all right. Now back to what I was doing, because these guys are very rude. They interrupted me in the middle of what I was doing.
Ain't that a kick in the head? Sure is, Dino.
Whoa! Oh, that might be more disrespectful, not gonna lie. Hey, listen. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Gotta take the dog tags. Otherwise, they don't know. There we go. Let's get back to the checkpoint. Wait, but is there anything else to like look around here? Like there's this stuff here. Nail some berries. Anyone else in here? Oh. Damn, they killed everybody. Let's get all their dog tags. Respect, you know what I mean? Respect. Ooh, oh, sunsets. You know what? Listen, it's sunsets. If no one's gonna drink it. No one's gonna drink it if I don't. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Cry about it. What you gonna pay someone coming as well? Don't care, Caesar Legion. Come on, Caesar. Come find me, Caesar. One-on-one, man on man. Bet you don't have the balls to do that. Oh. I didn't know there were gonna be more people in here. Hey, you started this. You started this. You started this. Pause. Pause. Hold on. Shit. Ah! God damn it. I didn't know they were gonna be in here. No. We're getting the. Let's start with this guy. There we go. Run away. Hide. Now we get a good headshot right from here. Woo! Oh, that's your hands. Hey, can you move your hands? They're in the way of my headshot. Come on. We're not dying here. I refuse to heal mid-battle. Damn it. Oh, all right. You know what? I actually don't. I think healing mid-battle, you know what happens sometimes? It happens. You need to do it sometimes in order to heal up. Get some psycho, get some noodles in me. Good old medics. Oh, super stems. There we go. We're back up, baby. We're back up. Oh, shit. Pause. Jesus Legion Infamy Gate. They started shooting at me first. How many dogs? Don't mind me. No.
Also in the headlines, merchants are saying that there's been little contact
Damn it.
between traders from Nipton and recent
These guys are wasting all my bullets.
concerns that the
He's in the 9.
town may be in trouble. Boy, the Mojave Wasteland is just a
Shit
fascinating
up.
place, isn't it?
Kill anything 100. We're flying.
More classics coming right up for you.
Just
So stay tuned.
ascended for a second. We're Liberator. Wait, hold on. You know what? I don't think I'm very patriotic. But when I get something called the Liberator, oh, this will liberate you of all of your good limbs. Look at that. Wah, liberated. Wah, you're liberated even more. Hold on, let me liberate this guy of all his limbs right now. Watch this. Liberated of your head. And now I liberate him of his arm. There we go. Now watch this. His legs, absolutely liberated. And now his other arm. I just liberated you. My son, you are now liberated. You are now liberated. Well done, son. You may go to heaven where the fuck you guys go. Oh, and the trooper got killed here. Let's get the dog tags. I don't know if they're important, but we can get them. Can get them. Oh, I want him so bad, but I'm so evil and karma. I think that's about all the dog oh. No, yeah, that's all the dog tags. All right. That's all the dog tags, folks. Poppy! What happened to him? I think he met a... Oh, that's how you get the dog hide. You know what? I don't feel as bad anymore. They have their own currency? Oh, there's this... Oh, you okay, puppy? Pet. Liberated! Liberated! I liberated that puppy. He'll be all good now. He is liberated. All right, everything seems good in here. Hello? Ooh, this is worse than normal. Oh. Those toilets are disgusting. There's one more. Oh no, there's not one more. It's locked. He placed boards even on the wall here. I don't think this board here counts towards the door security. But you know what? You do you. You do you, guys. You do you. All right, one last room. Oh. And nope. Oh, come on. I can chop off human limbs, but I can't liberate a vase from itself. I can't just, wah, liberated, you know? The liberated should be like an all-powerful in-game item, you know? Just have it so that it breaks everything. That looks vaguely familiar to the liberator. All right.
Me and Carmine, that's my repeater here. We'll do our best to cover you from this ridge. Good
What?
luck.
What do you mean? Hello?
Howdy.
There we go. All right. For a second, I was like, is he bugged? Please don't be bugged.
Dirty job.
There you go.
Glad you did it. I'm not authorized to reward contract pay, but here's a little something for you.
Woo!
And I'll let everyone
What are we
know you
getting?
did the right thing. Some people might not like it, but no one who matters.
Oh, they're gonna
At least
tell
as far as
everyone.
I'm concerned.
The Legion's gonna start coming after me after a while, you know? They're just gonna start coming after me. Fame gained by the NCR. Seasons Legion infantry gained. And 50 bottle caps. Still stingy, but you know, you probably don't make much, so. I'm not gonna shame him. He probably doesn't even make like a quarter of that. He gives some to me. I kind of like that. He's respectful. I like that. Now, as I was saying, we need to, as before we did this quest, let's go all the way to where we need to go. To that signal that we had earlier. We need able-bodied people. Now that I cleared out this area, I can just walk through it. Walk through it casually. Jump off the roof, 360. Yo! Badass. Come on. That's gotta give me some style points right there, doesn't it? Psycho wore off. Can't be psycho all day. Only a few hours a day. He's good. Woo, look at this. Oh, is there gonna be more guys here? There gonna be more? Out! I need to use the liberator. You need to be. Oh shit! Wait, no, hold up. I might have to long range liberate them. Not gonna lie. Long range liberation activate. No, not you, puppy. You'll be short range. Long range liberation. There we go. Come on. Okay, so that didn't quite work. But you want to go? You want to go? I will show. I didn't even have enough time to tell him what I was gonna say. Oh, yo! Dodge that. Sorry, sir. Hold on a second, please. I need to liberate your course from this divine plane. Oh, he's gonna cleave me. Item conditions not good. That's fine. We're probably not gonna use it ever again. Hey, get back here! Get back here! No running away, little baby! Little baby! Little baby! Little bit. Hey, no running. He's trying to run. He's trying to get back here. Oh my god, he's... Okay, no, this is... There we go. Whoa! There's more of them. All right, we gotta use our real stuff. We gotta use the real stuff here. Get the service rifle out. Hello, hello. Ooh, damn. Boop. You coming? I'm waiting. I'm waiting for a little Pookie Bear to come closer, please. Please, I miss you. It's been so long. Okay, that was an actual shit show. What? Did my leg break or something? Why am I so slow? No, it didn't. What? Why am I weak? Am I over encumbered? No, I'm not. Guys, I don't understand. Maybe I should drop a few things. You know what? I'm gonna drop a few things. I have way too many things on me. Anyways, let's just drop. Let's drop. We're not gonna drop our. We're gonna drop everything except our 460 Dinky the T-Rex souvenirs. I have to have those, okay?
This is Mr. New Vegas, and I feel something magic in the air tonight, and I'm not just talking about the gamma radiation. If you like news, you're gonna love our next segment. The Helios 1 solar power plant remains dormant despite NCR's effort to reactivate the facility. The chief scientist at the plant vowed to fix the problem, blaming it on an atmosphere of, quote, severe
there we go.
underappreciation.
Oh yeah! Oh shit! It is that.
Prem formally sworn a new sheriff today. RNV reporters were.
I gotta get them to come up.
The new sheriff addressed the crowd.
Howdy do, folks. I'm Sheriff Myers. Be good, or I'll shoot you dead.
More news for you.
Bro, that gets everything done so fast. Be good or be dead. There's no in between. Hey yo, headshot, baby! Come on, finish him off. What is that? Oh, that little flip there I saw. That is crazy. All right, there we go. Oh, one more shot. Oh, there's more of them. But if they keep coming at me like this, of course my infamy's gonna go up. They keep trying to kill me. Where are you? There you are. The perfect point to just get a good old headshot. And unless you run away, I'm fine with this. Oh, he's stumbling. Oh, no! Oh, come on. Hey, how you doing? No, man. Ah. Ow. At least I die stylishly. What? Fine. Fine. It's all fine. It's fine. I need like a semi-automatic gun, man. I need like a better gun. Or I need like stealth to the point where I can just go slice them and liberate them from behind without them even knowing I'm coming up to them.
Howdy. What's the word?
There we go. All right, maybe we can skip the Legionnaires a little bit. I don't know if we'll be able to skip them. Gonna have to see. Yeah, it feels good. Nothing like, you know, breaking your ankles in the morning to wake you up. Yep, little ankle breaking. Nothing quite like it. Can I heal up by, like sitting around and waiting? We can actually test this. Now wait a little bit. 125, I'm still, okay. Okay, I'm slow now because I have all my stuff on me. Ooh, it's because of that, I see. Incinerator, knife, laser rifle. Let's get rid of that kind of stuff. Bombing rifle. I'm probably not gonna use it, I'll be honest. The sledgehammer, I'm actually gonna keep it. That'll be my only small weapon. The Liberator. I loved you, Liberator. Just not that good. You're just not good, Liberate. Oh, we gotta get the hockey mask back on. I don't know what I was thinking, not, oh. Bandana or hockey mask? Bandana for now, hockey mask later. Toss out that. Rocket souvenirs, scrap metal. Let's check out some of this. Toss out that. Get some dog tags. All right, we can't get the dog tags out of here. So it's 40. If I got rid of, I gotta do it for the bit. I actually just gotta do it for the bit. The bit is what is holding all of this here. Casserole. I'll take it. We get some good HP from that. I'll take it. Vodka. Dog meat. Get that out of here. Get that out of here. I'm not eating that. That is insane that you could eat dogs. I mean, like, it makes sense, but I don't wanna, man. Freaky. Whoever wants it can get it. Oh, the bear's bugging out. It's alive! It's alive! Oh. Never mind, it's dead. Oh well. Let's keep going. Now, we could try and beeline for our next objective, but we're gonna get in a lot of people's ways. Oh, no, we won't. We just go straight. Full health. Look at that. Oof. If I made a cover of one of these songs, would you guys listen to it? I think I could sing kind of good. Not too good, but like minimum bass line, I could sing that. Courthouse. Damn it! How did they know I was here? How did they know? I was hidden behind a rock. Oh, he didn't see me yet. He didn't see me. Very nice calves, good sir. Very nice calves. I'll get to you later. There we go. Sonny, how you been? How you doing? Check out this gun. You like headshots? You like having a brain? Well, you're not gonna like this anymore. Woo! There we go. All right, let's refill that. How we all doing, folks? Anyone else want to go? Anyone else want to fight me? That's what I thought. All right, I'll be on my way then. Long live the Legion. Or don't. I don't care.
I have a good feeling about all of you listening.
Eh?
I've got news for you.
What?
A package courier found shot in the head near Good Springs has reportedly regained consciousness and made a full recovery. Now,
What?
that's a delivery service you can count on. One more
Okay.
story for you.
We got it. Good Springs. Note that down. Good Springs. We're going there after this. I need to get above this. Unless it's right down by the lake, then I can just jump down.
Blaming it on an atmosphere of, quote, severe underappreciation.
All right.
Preceding segment was sponsored by the
Underappreciation. Nobody likes this enough. Nobody wants to make out with the nuclear reactors enough. That's why this thing ain't working. What's that? What's that?
You don't have to be shy.
What's this?
I feel it between us two. Sometimes
Abandoned boss bunker?
mad about the boy.
Brotherhood of Steel bunker. Do we want to go there? Wait, what? Oh, this is where we need to go. Oh. Oh. I'm so glad I didn't go down the mountain. I would have had trouble finding this. Well, this is a nice welcoming area. A. A plus. Ooh. Drain. Nah, I'm not taking that. Jar of cloud residue. It's a jar of farts. He did it. This madman did it. That's why he was killed. He discovered how to put a fart in a jar and make it still survive. Salamandre. Bubbity boobity salamandre. Dead money takes you on an extremely dangerous area of the Moldrive wasteland, a one-way journey. What? We save this till later? In normal mode, you encounter new traps, enemies, and new companions whose lives are tied to yours. Hardcore mode, you'll be fighting an environment as well. Toxicity erodes health over time, companions are more vulnerable, and so are you. Dead money is, level 20. Let's wait, let's give that a break for now. Let's give that a... How do I can't... what? I can't leave! It's... I can't get out! Oh, nah, this is gonna be crazy. Am I really gonna have to do... I'm gonna have to go back to my saves. Oh, it was that Novak! Really? I shouldn't have fucking gone to the ceremony grand opening, man. Fuck.
Whoops, better put on my newsman fedora here. Scavengers report hulking individuals.
Oh, there we go. Oh, never mind. We're okay. Thank God. Oh my God. You guys don't understand. I thought I was like that was a one-way journey. I thought the developers trapped me in there.
In recent days, causing concerns that the isolated town may be in trouble.
Okay, this is what we were going for.
This news program has been paid for by the Ultralux. The Ultralux.
Camp Forlorn Hope. All right, we're gonna go to Camp Forlorn Hope. And then, oh, that's really far. What a Boulder City after. That seems nice. All right, we're following this first. Johnny Guitar. Having guitar as your last name must be so cool. Like, Johnny, do you know how to play the guitar? But it's so annoying because, like, Johnny, do you want to play the guitar? Mom, I told you I don't wanna learn the guitar, man. I wanna learn piano, violin, anything else. Johnny, what's our name? Guitar. Get the fuck on that guitar. Imagine. I can imagine that's how it goes. Especially if you have like 8 parents. Johnny, you are named Johnny Violin. So you must play violin. Mom, our last name's not Violin. Well, it is now. I changed it. Ooh. God. The damn wall. Oh, wait. When did this pop up? Oh, when did this pop up? I didn't even see that. I think I might be blind. I'm not gonna lie. When did this pop up? This wasn't here before. What? This definitely wasn't here before. This like spawned in when I turned around. Camp Forlorn Hope. Friend? Friend. NCRMP.
We got hit
What?
by a Legion raiding party just the other night.
I can't hear that last part. You kind of laughed. Am I that scary? Am I? You know what? I'm gonna be nice. Maybe I'm a little too scared at the moment. There we go. Maybe they'll like me now. Command center. Let's go talk. What? They're so scared of me. All right, I'll put the gun away as well. I'll put the gun away. All right, I'll put the gun away. There we go. Is that better? Is this less intimidating? Major Polotli. Trying to run.
That says the Legion forces at Nelson have been taken care of and that you had a hand in it. You have my thanks for that. Those guys have
No
been
problem,
getting
bro.
us
No
in a lot of
problem.
trouble for a long time now.
What the?
Now that they're gone,
What the fuck is this guy
we'll be able to
doing?
prepare
He's
for
just
the upcoming
staring into
conflict over
Major's
them.
like ass. He's just staring into the back of his head. What do you need help
I'm
with?
short-staffed and I don't have the time to take care of some issues
Hold on.
around the camp.
We can put it back up
I
often.
need someone to talk to a few of the officers and help them resolve some of the problems around here.
All right, easy. You know what? I can do that for you.
Let's not
No
waste
problem,
time,
no
then.
problem.
Our biggest problems right now are supplies and troops, and the Legion is training us both. Quartermaster Mays has been
They're
complaining
draining
to
all
me
of us, tell me.
about the lack
You
of
tell me they're
supplies.
draining all us dry.
Unfortunately, we aren't getting a
Look at us, you could say.
I want you to speak with him and see if there's anything you can do for him.
Easy. Easy, don't you worry, easy.
You're listening to Radio New Vegas.
Restoring hope. See,
Mojave Wasteland.
what am I seeing here? It looks some kind of standoff.
Here are our top stories. NCR Correctional Facility is now under prisoner control following
Back already? What?
riot. Locals should avoid
If it
anyone
wasn't
who
spread
looks
so
like
thin, maybe we could actually get some supplies and reinforcements around
What?
here.
Are they hitting the gritty?
are giving startling accounts of the
Bro, he's hitting the gritty. He's doing that TikTok. He's doing it way too early, though, let me tell you. Looks sick. Alright, tell you what. I'm gonna quickly go to the bathroom, because I do need the bathroom. You guys listen to the radio in the meantime, alright? I'm gonna put it back up.
of his own force be killed by the other 9/10.
BRB, alright, BRB.
Boss was a pain. We'll have more news for you at the top of the hour. And now, I'd like to play one of my very favorite songs for you.
To the town of Alfria rode a stranger one fine day. Hardly spoke to folks around him, didn't have too much to say. No one dared to ask his business, no one dared to make a slip. The stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip. It was early in the morning when he rode into the town. He came riding from the south side, slowly looking all around. He's an outlaw, loose and running, came the whisper from each lip. And he's here to do some business with a big iron on his hip.
I was so back. Let's get it. Let's go, soldiers. Alright, I need to talk to some folks now, I guess. Union, and we got a lot of quests actually. This is a decent amount of quests. That's pretty decent. How many have we finished? Oh, we finished so many. Look at that. Pretty decent. Pretty decent for how far away we are. Talk to the Quartermaster Maze. Alright, listen. You do that? Well, maybe I shouldn't have done that, honestly. Oh yeah, they're mad at me. You know what? I deserve this. I deserve this. I deserve it. I know I deserve it. All right, I deserve it. Did somebody just say watch out? Oh, that's where. No. Oh nah. I'm stupid. No. Damn it! We gotta just run now. We gotta run. As soon as we come out, beeline away from this area. I didn't realize that I had done that. Forgiveness? Forgiveness, please? Forgive me, please. I did not know this was irreversible. I did not know. Oh, oh, I'm safe. Nice. All right, we're out.
The story was relayed to Texas Red. But the outlaw didn't worry.
Don't know me. They don't know me. Oh my God. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. All right, well. Listen, I'm gonna go back up. I'm going somewhere else right now, okay? Come at me and I'll be forced to retaliate. Come on, get me out there, get me out there. Oh.
It was 20 past 11 when they walked out in the street.
We gotta go around. We gotta go around. Either that or kill them all. I'm not gonna lie. But I don't want to kill them. I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to do that. Maybe if I talk to the quartermaster, everything will be solved. It's a simple misunderstanding, really. Simple misunderstanding, I'm sure. You guys know the simple misunderstanding? No, I can't. No, I can't. I can't do that.
And the Ranger's aim was deadly with the big iron on his hip. Big iron on his hip. It was over in a moment and the foe
Down to beeline. Down to beeline.
There before them lay the body of the outlaw on
Oh, wait, is it him? No, Soldier, come back! Quartermaster!
So,
There we go.
did you help take over?
We're still good. We're still good. We're still
Glad to
good.
see someone making a difference.
We're still
around
good.
instead of just
We're fine. Major Bloody sent me to help you out.
So, Major has you running errands for him.
Yeah.
Well, we're short on personnel as well as
Yeah,
supplies, so we'll take
yeah.
all the
You
help we
know,
can get.
after I grenaded him, I really feel like I should help him out a little. How can I help you with your supply problems?
The Major let me
How
send
can I
out some
help,
troops
sir?
to gather supplies, but unfortunately they never returned. I'm guessing they ran into some trouble on the way.
Maybe they got eaten by
Help
giant
by finding
spiders.
troops and assisting them in bringing back any supplies they found.
Woo! My favorite song, baby. Go to Helios 1 to ask about Forlorn Camp. That was pretty dangerous.
It's dangerous, but not as bad now that we've taken back Nelson from the Legion.
You mean I've taken back Nelson from the Legion? You guys did fuck all.
I sent him to Helios 1.
All right, Helios 1, got it.
Make it cool.
Helios 1, brothers. What adds a bunch of missing men? He did. We start looking. All right, Helios 1, got it. Well, that seems to have cleared up all mishaps we had, right? Well, that probably cleared up all mishaps we had. Also, one thing I did want to do is display, increase the brightness a little bit. What color? Green? Green, blue, or white, or amber? What would amber look like? Oh, you mean like all this stuff? I feel like that looks kind of weird, not gonna lie. I feel like I'm too used to green, you know what I mean? I'm way too used to green to go back to anything else. Yeah, it looks weird without being green now. Green just pops well. Well. Alright, we're going to Helios 1, folks. Where is Helios 1? We have it on the map, but where is Helios 1? Oh, that's a bit of a distance. I can skip most of that just by going to Novak. Back to Novak. Wrap it up, wrap it up. Back to Novak. Gun and run perk reduces accuracy penalty. I've been handy to know earlier. Oh. Oh, sorry, I'm stepping on your grapes. Ooh. Yeah, nothing again. Oh. Oh. That feels good. They're playing good songs. It's been a while since I've listened to the radio, you know? Wait, there it's right here. It's right here. Before I get any closer, I am gonna just pop a save down. Pop a squat and a little save down, you know? There we go.
The stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip.
Get in his hip.
It was early in the morning when he rode into the town. He came riding.
I should probably put my armor back on now that I'm out. I think they were scared of me because of some other reason, but they still seem quite scared of me, not gonna lie. Alright, battle time, boys. I'm Rambo. It's time. Helios 1, folks. Helios 1. There it is, Helios 1. Is this a government building? Or it used to be a government building?
Men had tried to take him, and that many men were dead.
Who are those guys?
He was vicious and a killer.
What the fuck happened to this man in the past hour? A lot. Oh, why are we naked? We went to this one camp and the guys were really scared of us. So I figured if I took off all my clothes, it would make them a little more comfortable, you know? It'd make them a little more comfortable with me. Are those guys the Legion? That guy over there looks like he might be a little scared of me. Hold on, let's pop a save down. Okay, the best way I know of to make sure that everyone will not be scared of me, just go like this. Folks, hello. I don't think these guys are Legion.
That's not a good idea.
Oh, you're NCR. What do you mean? I'm just zooming in on your face, sir. You have a problem with this? Do you have a... Ma'am, do you have a problem with me zooming in on your face? Ma'am, do you have a problem with this? Ma'am, do you have a problem with this? You gotta tell me now if you have a problem. All right. Let's get the 10 mil back out and talk to him.
Pretty sure HQ's forgotten all about us.
Oh, I don't doubt they have.
Restricted area. State your business.
Oh, what happened to your face? You looking anime. Is it just me or is she looking anime as fuck? I want to check all the troopers sent from Camp 4 alone. Here we go.
Yeah, they were here a while ago. Gave them all I could, which wasn't much. But as many problems as we're having here, I know they've got it worse.
They've got it.
I've seen soldiers get assigned.
Those eyes look painted on, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know they could move till she just moved them now.
If you're trying to track them down, we put a GPS marker in the supply crate.
Oh, easy. Yes. Gimme. Shouldn't there be a plant? I'd like to go into the power plant. Why are you important and not on the front lines? Isn't that more important?
I ask myself the same question all the time. But energy is hard to come by around.
Oh, this is the power plant they kept saying was like, oh, it's not working because people don't love it enough and give it tongue when they kiss it. You know, that kind of thing. I'd like to get into the power plant.
Why would I want to let you do that?
Because I'm sexy. I heard my brother was stationed here.
I wish I could tell you, but
oh, there we go. I'm so glad I put some points into into speech.
Try not to make any trouble.
Don't you worry, ma'am. Don't you worry. I ain't gonna make no trouble for anybody. Unless I do. Unless I do, then it's all your fault. It's all your fault if I do. Let's go. Officer. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I'm being a little mean here. Hold on. Officer. Let's see what they're doing around here. Activate terminal. Ooh, we got some stuff here. Hold on. I'm gonna turn off the radio for a split second. There's actually some lore here on the power plant. Pause. Good. Here we go. We got some good stuff here. Archimedes. On Tuesday, February 16th at 2 p.m., technicians will be running a test of Archimedes. Oh, that's the power plant, and its connectivity to our planet security system. Under no circumstance should any employee be outdoors on the plant grounds until the alarm klaxon has ceased. Is this some, like, military bombardment? Do they want to, like, Eye of God this? Results. The initial testing was a success, although not an unqualified one. Several minor systems were overloaded. More importantly, we received reports from the nearby facilities that experienced system frying power fluctuations at the time of the test. Oh.
Hello.
Oh. Hello there, good sir. Don't mind this big thing I have right here. This is my little didgeridoo. I ain't doing anything right now. Exploring. How you doing, Bocco? How you doing? You guys looking pretty good. Oh, they got a coffee maker here. Can't be that bad. Got a good old coffee maker. Peekaboo. Get some XP. Ooh. Went out the back door. Let's go. All right. Let's make our journey. Why did I lose karma for that, man? Why did I lose karma? I'm like a Giga Devil now. What are you gonna do? I'm Giga Satan right now in terms of karma. Alright, we gotta keep this handy. Now that we're outside, we don't have to intimidate them anymore. Let's slap on the good old 9mm. Yeah, I gotta say, my man is caked up. Look at that. Do you see what he sways? Do you see that? I'm not thirsting over him, but like, that is caked up, man. That is cake. Double cheeked up bacon oven. What? Oh, what? What? Hey, who's shooting at me? What? Thought somebody was shooting at me. Also, by the way, do I have my marker that's across the map? Apparently, we're going exploring this right now. Let's take a peek. Oh yeah, put the radio back on. Almost forgot about that.
Moving on.
Radio New Vegas.
Raiders from California are being turned away from Mojave Outpost, where the NCR is concerned about dangers along Nipton Highway and I-15.
Didn't I kill everybody in Nipton Highway? I think there was a gang over there. These guys are behind on their news. They gotta get. Whoa, whoa, whoa! No, 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 no! Oh fuck no!
Classics coming right up for you, so stay tuned.
Fuck! All right, hold up. No, 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 no! Oh no, 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 no! Put on some tunes. It's time to go crazy. Pop that. Where's my psycho? Got a good old psycho. Let's toss on the gear again and the hockey mask. It's time, folks. It's time. Get all close in. Sledgehammer time, baby. Sledgehammer. Come on. Oh, damn it. Damn you. I'll come back for you. Wait until I get those mini nukes. You're not gonna survive this disaster now. Damn it. I'm so. Oh, man. Hello? Radio? Radio? Huh? What's wrong with the radio? I wanna play. Follow the GPS to Forlorn Hope Supplies. Hold on, maybe I gotta like first person it. I can't. What? I can't click on the radio. Bitch. Oh, there we go. Okay, it was a little stuck there.
California are being turned away from Mojave Outpost, where the NCR is concerned about
Let's slap on
dangers
Uncle.
along Nipton Highway and I-15. Promotional consideration for this news program has been paid for
All right, we're good.
by the Ultralux. The Ultralux.
The Ultralux?
In the lap of luxury. More classics coming right up for you.
That sounds pretty good, not gonna lie. I feel like nowadays, if you hear any ad on the radio, you should take more notice of it. Nobody listens to the radio. Or like only old people listen to the radio nowadays. I know, even when I'm in the car and like driving, I will have, like, it might sound crazy, but I have it silent. I just have it silent. I don't even put the radio on these days when I go around driving. The silent carry on, unless I have somebody else in the car. They want to put the radio on, you know, they can. Not saying it's bad, I'm just saying I don't really care for the radio. Gotta be careful, we got dinosaurs in this area. Hold up. Who the fuck? What? Oh, it's the Vipers! Hey, I killed you guys long ago. Alright, hold on. He looks horrific. Sir, listen to me. Okay, I'm just bad at aiming. What was that? He came right up to me and I just... Oh, dodge, pro skills. What you got on me?
Come on.
Yeah, come on. Oh, what's this? What's this? What's this? You can't get me. There we go. Bada bam bam boom boom. Bada bam bam boom boom. The head fell off. That's the funniest thing. It gets me every time, I'm not gonna lie. Ooh, rat away. How much? I don't think I have that much rat at the moment, but you know, we could use it. We could use it. I kind of want his hat. His hat kind of looks dope. Storm chaser hat.
Yes, I do. I love you.
Actually, try it on. Carol, storm chaser hat. Oh, yeah. I just need like a nice little Hawaiian shirt and I look like a tourist. I forgot about them. I forgot. I forgot about these idiots. No. Come on. Critical strike. You sure about that? It looks like it's still charging at full speed. Shit. No. Oh my god, there's another one. I don't think we can make it out of this. I'm not gonna lie. Lie, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Oh my god. Ah! What? That didn't even bite. That didn't even bite me. That did not even. It didn't bite. That's bullshit. That didn't even bite me. Although even if it didn't, it might have been, you know, it might have been the fire if it was not the bite. Is that the bite of 87?
Moving on. Traders from California are being turned away from Mojave Outpost where the NCR is concerned about dangers along
Don't try. We're gonna save it a little closer as well.
Promotional consideration for this news program has been paid for by the Ultralux. The Ultralux. Live life in the lap of luxury. More classics coming right up for you, so stay tuned.
Oh, we got some classics coming. We got some classics. What's it gonna be? Why do I hear people out here? Hello? People in the distance. You guys hear them too, or am I going crazy? Oh, here they are. Here they are. Oh wait, I have an incredible idea. Ah, damn it! I have an hold on. I have a great idea. I don't know if this is gonna work. Pause. I'm not dying here, but I have an idea. If I don't kill them, I can always use them. But I guess they just want to die. Cripple limbs. Why is that part of the goals? Cripple 100 people's limbs. Make it so that they die in this shithole. That's just part of it, I guess. Oh damn, she's eating my bullets. Oh shit. Oh no. Let's heal those up. But hold up a second. Pop one of those, and pop a few sunsets. There we go. I didn't realize that we were that low. I wasn't looking. There we go. Nice. Alright, what do we got? Closed case, some bottle caps. Shit amount of bottle caps, honestly. Hunting rifle and a metal spoon. I want the metal spoon. Spoon! I wanted it. That's what I wanted. That's what I was here for. My dear metal spoon. I love it. Alright, we're gonna keep going. The cash should be around here. I hope it's nowhere close to those guys. Oh, speaking of which, I think it's about time for more sunsets. Pop them sunsets, baby. Pop them sunsets. Oh, my favorite song, man. This is so good. Just listen to that. Can't tell me that isn't gold. Gold, baby, gold. The kind of gold you can't buy. The kind of gold that just lives. You have to experience it. You guys on here, right? Oh, NCR troops. I think I found, Forlorn Hope Letter 8. Forlorn Hope Letter 1? Oh no. There's 8 of these suckers. Full-on supply crate. There we go. What? Hey! What? Who the fuck are you? Recruit? Oh, you're a legionnaire. You're one of those idiots. All right, hold up. Damn! You know, I'm gonna shit on them a lot for all the things they do, but that looked sick. That actually looked kind of sick. Headshots, baby, headshots. Headshots all day! Headshots all day! Oh, there's more of them. Oh, that's not good. There's more of them! Nope, no. No. Why did they just pop out randomly? Listen, I wouldn't be killing you if you didn't try to kill me first. Well, actually, I still would be, but like, really rude if you try to kill someone first, you know? Really rude. Come on. Come on. Damn it! Oh my god. I'm out of here. I gotta get a little distance, man. I gotta get a little distance. How am I? He seems really fine, I'm not gonna lie. He doesn't seem crippled at all. I feel like you're oh. Now a little more, not gonna lie. Now he does seem a little more. Tree. No, what? What? No! 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 Oh, come on. You're the one that did this! Oh my god, I got 3 things here! Yeah, get the torso. There we go. Bro, I really need to... Hold up. There's one thing I had out here, the buffet. I think that, yeah, there we go. That was supposed to give me a lot more health. To the face, baby! There we go. Finally. What happened to that other guy, by the way? Did he just decide, oh, you know what? I'm no longer in this life. I'm gonna give up trying to kill this guy. Did he give up, or am I just... Oh, there's my rad. We're at 0. 14% rad resistant. That seems pretty decent. 10 mils. 10 mils gonna go straight into that face. Yeah, look at that. Did nothing. Ah, no! Oh, come on. I can't be dying this much. I can't be dying this much, man. Oh, I can't be dying this much. This is disrespectful to myself, not gonna lie.
So be sure it's true when you say I love you. It's a sin.
There we go, yes! Oh, got him! I'm waiting for this guy to come now. Nah, you're not getting me, Send it over!
It's a sin to tell a lie. A lot of folks.
Whoa, there we go. There we go. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Just over a whole lot of foolish words.
That's gonna hurt a lot. Yo, he keeps moving. Stop. What? I threw them over the wall. What? How did I die? What? Huh? I don't understand, man.
So be sure it's true.
Welcome. There we go. Get him what's what. Bam! Brain damage supreme, just as you order, man. Bottle caps. She literally had. I was getting her dinner utensils shoved in my face. All right.
You got sense nothing. It's a sin.
Hey yo, dodge all that. Dodge all that. Let's get a little bit psycho involved. Let's get a bit of the sunset margaritas. There we go. Come on, no. I'm not taking any of that. All done. All finished. Look at him. He is so liberated. Ooh, 10 out of 50. I guess people don't go close up a lot in this game. That's what that is. Maybe they do, and I'm just bad at it. You know what I want? I'm gonna upgrade my sneak a bunch. And you know what I'm gonna do after that? I'm gonna upgrade my sneak a bunch. And then once I've upgraded my sneak, I'm gonna go sledgehammering people around. That could be fun. That's gonna take a little while to get it up to like 100. But it could be fun. Gotta stay away from the fire lizard territory and such, you know what I mean? Damn. Ooh. Hear that sax? I love a good sax, man. I love good sax play. Good sax play is so good. I'm gonna learn how to play the sax eventually, you know. There we go. All right, I guess you're coming at me. Oh, come on! And all of them. Bullshit. This is bullshit. This is rigged. This game is rigged. This game is actually rigged. It's so rigged, man. The rigs are basically poured from all its orifices. How else would you explain what just happened?
So be sure it's true when you say I love you. It's a
Welcome, ma'am. How you doing? Do you want the death special? I got you. Death special. Bam! Whoa! I haven't got you a little bit of the good stuff, you know what I mean? So I keep hitting me. Keep hitting me. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. I like it. Keep on it, good sir. Keep on it. Bam! Alright, that didn't do quite good.
Got enough?
I'm sorry, that is not the voice I thought I'd hear. That is not the voice I thought I'd hear from that. That caught me by shock for a second there. They kill a mercenary. Looks like he's taking a nice, good old sleep. Look at him. Taking a nice, good old nap. He needs it. Oh, sorry. My bad. My bad. Okay, let's get all that heal up. Super stim wore off. I feel weaker now. Purified water. That did not do much. Can I get anything else that has like... Oh, here we go. Honey. One on a stick. And healing powder. Alright. There we go. Back up to full health. Almost. I need something with like a bunch of kick, by the way. You know what I'm actually gonna put on for now? I haven't used it in a while. Incinerator! Ooh. Looking like that guy from TFT. Or TF2. Wanna come at me? I gotcha. Come with me. Burn you so hard, you're not even your mother's gonna be able to know what space you had before that. Strong thought, not strong words. Strong thought, not strong words, though. We're dipping after this. I bet they're gonna spawn. Yep, here they go. I see them. Whoa, there we go. On fire, baby! You get on fire, you get on fire, everybody gets on fire! Everybody gets it! There we go, everybody! Alright, hold on. Hold on, I need to change up now, I need to change up. This one. Maybe this guy right here. Big, strong chest, sir. I see you got a big, strong chest. I'm gonna make use of that. You, sir, as well. Big, strong man. With a big, strong chest. I think the fire really did it for them, not gonna lie. The fire may have actually helped me out here a lot. Yeah, there we go. Slow burn, you know. I like to slow cook my food. Just like my men. Oh, yeah. It's good. Hold on, sir. There we go. Sorry, I took a little breather there, you know. Water. White horse nettle. What is that? These guys are carrying on some weird drugs, not gonna lie. I will try them all, though, without any question. Because that's just how I am. That's just how it be. Alright, let's get out of here. First, let's see. Good mosquito pot, a little bit of buff out. There we go. I'm starting to feel like a man again. Less like I'm like at the edge of death. Whoa, let's go. Back to back, foot to foot. I made it out alive. Next to the fire, that is. I think the fire actually weakens them a little bit. They're like, oh, on fire! And then I'm just like, haha, you're not shooting at me. Die, die, die. And I like go boom, boom. And I shoot at him instead. I don't know if that's how it works, but I like to think that's how it works. Wait, where did they want me to go? Can I teleport to that place? I'm lazy, okay? I'm lazy. If I don't need to walk, I don't need to walk. Sometimes I do like walking, though. Sometimes it's nice to walk. Ooh, nice shack. Damn. Premium, yeah. Oh, you in the toilet. You in the shitter. No, he's not. Where is he? Where is he? Oh, we got a acapella here. Like that, I like that. Acapella's nice. Major! Major Lieutenant, sir! I have what you wanted. Don't run away from me! Major Lieutenant, sir. See.
If you're heading out, be careful. There's been lots of leads.
Oh, he's okay. I didn't realize this was this. Quartermaster, sir!
Looking for supplies. I'll make this easy for you. There aren't any.
Oh, Quartermaster, you know me. You saw me like 5 minutes ago. Quartermaster.
I take it my men weren't dead.
Yeah.
It's a high price to pay, but these supplies will save a few lives here.
Yeah, all right, that's good. Nice.
You should check in with the Major. I want to know about this.
Folks, they tell me I'm evil. They say my karma is minus a gajillion. Might as well be infinity. But deep down, I'm a good man. I'm a good man. Now, does a good man accidentally sometimes slip and throw a grenade in a close quarters place because it's kind of funny? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. It happens sometimes, you know? Like, I probably got like 5 diseases just from that rat-infested water right there. But I'm a good man.
Nelson's back in our hands. I hope we can...
You still mad at me? Nah. Major, you can never be mad at me for long. He looks more like me than I look like me, you know what I mean? Like, minus the mustache. Help the Quartermaster get some supplies.
The extra supplies will help for a short time, but that only solves one of our problems. With all the Legion raids lately, we're running low on troops that can still fight. Some are injured, but even more are dead.
Oh my god, I'm about to hold their hands here. You guys can't fix anything yourselves? Alright.
Refugees at Bitter Springs are giving startling accounts of the
Ooh, only 7? Nah.
who is said to be
back already? What?
I have a question about the NCR.
The legate took over an underperforming squad of troops.
No, I don't think there's anything I actually have to question. We're all good. Dr. Richards! Don't you worry, I'll talk to you. Richards! Where are you? Where are you, my little cookie bear?
Also,
Richards, doctor. I have a problem. I need help.
Defeated the Legion forces at Nelson.
What the fuck am I doing this bit? I don't even know this man.
Job around here much easier.
He looks like every doctor in those series you see on TV, you know? Like, that one handsome doctor. He looks like all of them meshed into one.
With business booming like it is, and considering I'm the only person with medical experience in the camp, I could perhaps use a hand.
Oh?
Do you have any medical experience?
Yeah.
Excellent. As you can see, we have a lot of
I don't think I actually have medicine 20, not gonna lie. I have like medicine 17, I think. Alright. I can treat some folks. Do not get mad at me if they die though. Alright. Don't get mad at me if they die. If one of them suddenly develops like some problems and dies, that's on them. This man's leg is seriously injured. Are you sure you want to attempt the operation? Alternatively, you can have a medicine, brace, X, and bone saw. You'll be able to treat him. Medicine? Come on. Come on. We got this. Yo. Without thinking, you start amputating the leg part where you really start amputating the wrong leg. That's my doctor! And you start amputating the other leg. The patient does shut up. His remote your operating privileges, you know, like, oh! No. That can't be allowed. That can't be allowed. Hold on. That can't be allowed. I can try again, okay? I'm gonna try again. You don't have the equipment? Alright, that's fine. Use equipment to operate. You don't have the equipment. Alright, hold on. Equipment, medicine 75 or higher. Simply you get tweezers, Med X, and a super stem. Kind of expensive. Not, oh, there we go. We got bone saws stuff here. Free stuff. Use needles. I love that. Medical brace. I think that's all we need, right? Oh, we got it. We got it. Come on, don't die. Don't die. Using the Med-X to dull the patient's pain, you put the medical brace to stabilize his leg on. You then carefully amputate the leg, amputate very well, saving his life. Let's go! Mwah! You're welcome, good sir. You're welcome. Okay, never mind. How you feeling? Take a little sleep. Alright. Don't have the equipment. What equipment do I need to treat him? Tweezers, Med-X, and a super stem. Can I buy that from anywhere? Med-X? Do I not have the tweezers by any chance? I have Med-X. I don't think I have tweezers, by the way. I do have one super stem. I need tweezers. This man suffers Med-X, whiskey, and surgical tubing. He's going to need the catheter, but he'll live. Oh my god. Alright, I guess took his clothes off. Uses the Med-X to dull the patient's pain. Use the surgical tube, the amount of bleeding, and then sterilize the patient for fully recover. Bro, I'm basically a doctor. Give me my doctor's badge. Or whatever it is. Ooh, we can take more from here. Oh, you probably have tweezers, right? Scalpers, scissors, Med-X. All of that. Bone saws. Belt. I'm gonna need all of this when doing it, alright? I need all of it. Bone saws and knives, I'm taking all of them. Let's heal this last guy. Oh yeah, you already got thing. And you know, I know a few people who, you know, that guy who lost a leg and an arm, I know a few cannibals in the area, you know, they'd pay a high price for that. Make complete recovery. You are welcome! And I'm level 7, baby. I'm probably the most versatile guy in the entire of these lands. Where's my medicine? Oh, my medicine's not dirty. Oh, never mind. I'm actually crazy good at that. Let's add more to sneak now. Add more to sneak. Sneak.
Hey.
Yeah? What? 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 You wanna go? What?
Better move along. There's not much for you here.
Say that again. Say that to my face.
Watch. Better move along. Hey! You like that?
Nope, only for him, only him. Only him. Only him. Come back here. Only you. I'm satisfied after this. Hold on. No, pause. I gotta be him. I should use my VATS. I didn't even realize I should use my VATS. Bro, he was rude to me. What else was I supposed to do? He's still gotta die. I have the save point. He's still gotta die. Bonk bonk. Bonkus! Stonkus! Don't you dare run away from me. Alright, it's all good, folks. It's all good. Hands up. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Cattle prod? Why does he have a cattle prod on him? What? Hey, yo, Doc. Doc, don't worry. I healed all your patients, Doc. Doc, I'll wait right here. I know you're a little mad at me. Hold up.
Come on.
Bonk. Kinda easy to kill, not gonna lie. You guys ain't shit. Yeah. Alright. Rewind back. There we go. You live another day. Debt repaid.
Hey.
Dr. Richards, I did it.
Unless it's urgent,
Can I get a kissy?
If it's gravely important, save me the trouble and empty your pockets now.
I finished looking over your patients.
Excellent job. Where'd you learn to do all that?
Oh, you know, I made shit up as I went along. Pretty basic, pretty standard.
As for the men, they'll recover soon and be back on the front lines in no time.
Well,
Circle of life.
well,
I'll send word
I don't know about that one guy. He came out with less legs, but I guess he could hop onto the battlefield. I guess that could kind of work out. Surgeon Pilati. Bro, I am single-handedly the most versatile man in the entire world. Medical, I got you. Violence, I got you. What else is there? Sneak, I'm almost there.
How do they expect us to fight the Legion with only the crappy equipment and gear they gave us?
Where is he? Oh, there he is. He's taking a little nappy. Major, sir. Get up, Major. No sleep. Reward me.
Already? What do you need? Dr. Richards said you did a good job in there.
We did it.
Mighty high praise coming.
We did it.
Well, with that over with,
so happy, man.
Legion forces that Nelson defeated, we finally have some breathing room. Now we can actually try to strengthen our forces along the river.
There we go.
Prepare for the upcoming.
The Legion gotta die, man. They killed a pregnant woman. They gotta die. Fame gained. They're so happy. Look at that.
Watch yourself out there.
Will do, soldier. What the fuck? Oh, it's the. Can I get him from here? Can I bot? Oh, I got him a little bit. Hey, yo, how did I get him from so far away? That's crazy. Okay, well, when they get you, these guys will deal with them. I'm sure of it. These guys will definitely deal with them. All right, well, I think we did a pretty good job there. What else is close by? Because we're here right now. I'm actually... Helios, Swan, Neutral, the Black Mountain.
This is Mr. New Vegas fanning the
What's
flames
this?
of your passion.
NCR, Hidden Valley, Black... Have I been to Black? I haven't been to Black Mountain.
Formally sworn in as sheriff today, RNV reporters
We found so many different things. Look at this. We found... There's probably a few places here we haven't found yet.
I'm Sheriff Myers. Be good, or I'll shoot you dead.
Moving on. Refugees at Bitter Springs.
Let's beeline to Boulder City. Boulder City. I want to find a new city.
Caesar's top field commander. told us the
Okay.
took over an underperforming
What are you doing?
Yeah. Bro, what? Goofy looking ass you. Ron, is that you? Ron, is that you?
be killed by the other 9.
I was just getting some fresh air and stretching my
Kill him.
legs.
Kill him.
It's getting pretty late though. I should get going. Good night.
No. What's your problem, man? What's your problem?
My problem is we're all going to die.
Well, yeah, eventually. That's how it
Legion may be
works.
gone from Nelson, but there's still a whole fucking army of them out there. Today, tomorrow, doesn't matter. We're all going to die in this war.
Oh, boy, baby. You want headbands? Yeah, let me give you headbands. Yeah, what you want, your mommy? Want to suckle on some cow milk? Go look for one of those two-headed cows. Those cows look amazing, you know. You gotta look at the bright side, man. You gotta look at the bright side.
You kidding me, man? How are things? They're all fucked up. That's how things are. Everyone is either starving or dying out here. Left out to dry.
Well, I kind of solved that for now, so you're welcome.
This place. I'd rather be anywhere else but here.
Follow me, good sir. I know a good place where there's fire-breathing lizards. Trust me, they're nice, I promise. Bro, if I show up the fire-breathing lizards, he'd be like, oh, take me back, take me back. Like, he'd be running with his thumb up his butt, you know what I mean? Like, he would be running so fast to get here. He wouldn't want to be anywhere else but here if I showed him that place. Little guy doesn't even know anything about the wasteland. He doesn't know how many times I've died out there. Goddamn fire-breathing lizards. He has it nice in there. Sure, they might have a little less food and starve to death sometimes. At least you don't get eaten alive by a fire-breathing lizard. Like a giant bloatfly or anything else, really. Literally anything else. Alright, let's keep going then. I'm liking this music, and I'm not gonna lie. So good.
On the other hand,
I like this one still better. Not gonna lie. I felt it was coming a little repetitive, but anything else is just worse. I don't like it. Dun, 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 dun. Ba, ba, da, ba, boo, bee. Guys, if you don't mind, give me a second. I want to check something. I want to just quickly check something. Shit, not that. Quickly check something. Okay, so it is. Okay. I was trying to figure out whether the skipped frames were an illusion or actually real. They're fake. All right, we're back. Just trying to check it for OBS. Because it said it was there, but I was like, I don't believe that. That's fake. That's fake. Here we go, back in. Back on, just where we left off, folks. Just where we left off. I'm having a lot of fun with this, I gotta admit. So much fun. Let's go. Is this the area? This is like, don't y'all shoot. Ooh, bloatfly meat. Oh yeah, suckle on that meat. That looks good. I like that. Delicious bloatfly meat. Bloatfly meat is worn off. Now that things are trying to kill me, let me just power up on some of this. Ooh, blood. Yum yum, I am a vampire. Yum yum yum. Whoa. Hey yo, hold up. The scorpions are taking over this area. Gotta teach them some manners. Your mom? Is this your mom? Oh, damn, what? Why didn't that one-shot it? I hit it right in the face. It's a tough one, damn. Damn, you're a tough one. I'm getting you first. No, you ain't running. You ain't running, boy. You ain't running. Get back here. There we go. All right, now we can talk. What's your name? How you doing? Damn. Oh, nah. I don't want to be circumcised. I'm good. I don't want to be. Oh, hard pass on that. Ooh, that actually kind of worked. Trying to run away now, are you? Boom! Ooh, got him. Shot him, got him, folks. That's just how it is in the wasteland. We're already like a third of the way to level 8. Bro, leveling up is so easy, bro. I'm so glad I got that perk False Learner. Everything's just rolling by easy now. Is this the town I was... Kind of looks a little more run down than I expected. Boulder City. Why are all of the cities that are neutral this messed up? The music does not add to how depressing this is. This is so depressing, man. What? Let's go exploring, I guess. Burnt down house, burnt down big house. Not burned down place. Excuse me. Oh, damn. Oh. We're cut off for the rest of the platoon, and there are legionnaires all over the place. There's no chance we get out of here, but they blow up the town. We're gonna get it, hold against them as long as we can. If anybody gets this, I'd like to make sure Private Jeffrey Hugh and Corporal Marcus Christensen are commended for their valor and sacrifice. Both have upheld the honor and ideals of the New California Republic with distinctions. Well, thank you for the hat. Bro, what? Bro, the Legion! I thought I was doing justice to kill the Legion. I guess not. Fuck. The Legion's just ripping and tearing. It's like taking pages from Hulk comics. They don't care. That place, by the way. What's this place over here? Train?
This is Radio New Vegas, and I'm your host, Mr. New Vegas.
Oh.
And in case you're wondering
Damn.
if you've come to the right
Think about...
place, you have.
Damn it. Tried to get a surprise on it, didn't really work.
Patrons of the Ultralux are questioning whether
Anyone else?
the restaurant The Gourmand is overstating the fullness of its
Nice.
wait list. Those who claim to have dined at the restaurant find the food appealing, but
Ooh, Nuka-Cola.
tables remain empty.
Oh, yeah.
In addition, tensions are
I need some of that. I need some of that in my stomach right now.
Kings and the large number of NCR squatters seeking refuge there. The leader of the Kings, who would only
There
identify
we go.
himself as the King, voiced his
Delicious.
displeasure, calling NCR citizens, quote, the devil in disguise. He added he didn't want to see the NCR in the ghetto and called for a mass, quote, return to sender.
What is this here? What is this place?
Brought to you by Vault 21. Vault 21. Everything's better when you experience it in a vault.
Can I go into that vault and like say hi and such? Is that possible? Duffel bag. What the... Oh, yo! Somebody was storing up here. All mine now. All mine. Somebody was. Oh wait, was that another one? No. Okay. I can't go over there. Okay. I'm so glad I gave you a duffel bag full of shit. Nice. I love that. That's crazy. All right. Well, we have a lot of stuff to do here. Also discover some more camps, some more things around here. We've discovered a lot down here and explored a lot. We haven't explored this. The Mojave Drive-In. The Mojave Drive-In. Sorry. Mojave Drive-In. There's probably something over here. I'm feeling there's something over there. Alright, let's make our way to RepCon headquarters, baby. RepCon headquarters, that's what we're going for. Also, do we have any quests up there that like are on the way? Travel to the canyon wreckage near Prim and enter the divide. Intercept Khan at Boulder. Wait, we're at Boulder City. Wait, we're at Boulder City. I don't think we intercepted anyone though. I think they just burned it down. They just fucked it up real bad. Gotta keep a lookout, folks. Bro, those sunset movies work really well. So there is something here. All right. There is something here. This is main story questing, so let's get it. Oh, there are people here. I didn't even realize this.
We've got a situation with some great cons right now. The brass of McCarran has ordered me to lock down the ruins until it's been resolved.
What's going on with the Great Khans?
Trolls was on its way back from Novak when it came under fire from the Great Khans.
Are they like a different species or something? Like those guys in that other power plant the other way?
Where they were caught in a crossfire. No deaths, but not all the squad got out. The Khans have Private Ackerman and Private Gilbert as hostages.
Ooh. These Great Khans might have something in mind. A platinum chip. You ever heard of it, Sonny?
Once the Great Khans have been killed or captured, you're welcome to retrieve any property they've taken from you.
Unless you take it first, I'm guessing.
As soon as you free them, the rest of my squad will move in and provide.
Ooh, he accepted it, bro. He doesn't even know me.
You should wait until it's darker so that you have the best chance to pull this off.
Totally. Don't worry. I got you. I got you. We got it. We just got it. All right. Where are they? Where are they? Bro, they're all the way over here? They're all the way... Wait a sec. Oh, no, 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 no. There we go. Boulder City Showdown. That was the other thing I need, like, level 24. Let's get a little closer so we can see it. And then go. I'm so glad I put more into sneak. I think I'm like level 45 on sneak. Or like I got 45 on sneak. Which, you know, it's not great, it's not good, it's kind of just there. How do I get in? How do I get in? Huh? Oh, yo, we got up. Hold on, I'm up. I'm even higher up. Are they like underground or something? And I'm big dumb. I'm trying to break through forcefully when there's underground. No, but then why would he say to wait till nighttime? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, folks. It doesn't make sense. Oh, here we go. Boulder City. Oh, no. Pupper. All right, what time is it now? Oh, we gotta wait like 13 hours then. Damn. You know what? I live staring at a wall for 13 hours. We didn't even talk or anything. 13 hours of straight looking at this wall. They tried to talk to me at some point. I didn't listen. Who's ready? Who's ready? We're using the sledgehammer, by the way. See him. How do I get past him? They're all just so... If I go commando, you think they'll notice? Put the gun away as well. Do I have anything that increases stuff? +5 unarmed. Yeah. Is there anything here that makes me silent? silent as the night. That could help. I don't know. How do I get? They're gonna kill the hostages. I'm not gonna lie. They're gonna kill them. They don't even know I'm here. I could try and sneak up behind them. You know what I mean? Like, go over there. You see on the right side? Go over there and behind them. But they're all cramped in one spot. Look at this. They're all in one spot. I want to stay hidden. I feel like that one guy sees me. You know what I mean? I feel like he sees me. If I wait like 1 more hour, you think this is gonna make a difference? It's still as dark, so I don't think so. He's just watching me. We're so in! We're so in!
You're listening to Radio New Vegas, your little jukebox in the Mojave Wasteland. I am Mr. New Vegas, and I'm here for you. Whoops, better put on my newsman fedora here. The Black Mountain radio signal.
We gotta get more wine.
Long absence. Listeners say the new program
More wine.
is, quote, less for outcasts, more for weirdos. One more story for you.
I'm gonna save you as well.
Prem formally sworn a new sheriff today. RNV reporters were on hand to hear the new sheriff address the crowd.
Howdy do, folks. I'm Sheriff Myers. Be good, or I'll shoot you dead.
Promotional consideration for this news program
Ow.
has been paid for by the Ultralux. The Ultralux. Live life in the lap of luxury.
I gotta get to that door. That's where I have to get to.
Celebrity. Now, come on, you don't have to be shy. I feel
Oh! They probably saw me and they were like, what the fuck? You know what? He's just a naked guy. Let him be. They probably thought I was some like insane crazy man. So they were like, alright, it's fine. He's good. Let him pass. We don't want to kill any more crazy people, you know. That would make us the crazy people. I think I just made noise. Never mind, we're good, we're good. We're solid. There's 3 guys behind this door. Oh, I'm so glad I have this 360 cam to really help me out, you know? A big window, you know, it's a pretty large window. Still hidden though. They're right there. I think it's that abandoned building. Can I go upstairs? Is there anybody upstairs? Solid and good, baby. Solid and good. You see what I'm doing? What is this? Oh, magazines. Yes! I haven't had spike knuckles before. Hey, yo! Whoa, 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 whoa! What you got here? Whoa, 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 whoa! You know what I mean? Alright. What? Somebody see me? My face clip. Was I too loud? I think it was her. That fucking bitch over there. All bitch chat, you know. Not gonna be biased. I think I have to get up then into that door. I think that's what it is.
This is Radio New
Probably gonna hurt a lot.
I'm your host, Mr. New Vegas. And in case
Hold it in,
you're
buddy.
worried,
Hold it
you've
in.
come
You'll
to
be
the
fine.
right
Hold it
place.
in.
You have. Here are our top stories. Traders from California are being turned away from Mojave Outpost where the NCR is concerned about dangers along Nipton Highway.
Is my head clapping through? Can you guys see me?
Also in the headlines, NCR officials at Camp McCarran were relieved when technical difficulties with its monorail line to the New Vegas Strip proved easy to fix.
There's 3 of them. There's 3 of them. Lock in. I don't know. How am I... If only I could see through like this guy could see through the wall right now. How do I do this? Gotta do all that. What is this? Early bird penalty, headgear, and alcohol. What is the early bird penalty? What's that? Rad resistance, and it's 63. Let's just boop that down.
Be sure it's true when you say I love.
Gotta be careful here. I'm not gonna lie, I might actually save again. This is actually stressing me out. It's actually stressing me out. I want to do good here. I don't know why. Are they gonna know that I'm here because I picked this lock and opened this door?
Just because these words were spoken.
Despite the situation, she remains silent and defiant. She tied up. Freeing one will free both. Are they in the room?
If you break my heart, I'll die.
Who's there?
So be sure it's true.
Fuck.
When you say I love you,
No, don't let her shoot.
it's a sin.
Ah! Now these 2 are both dead.
Like that.
No, I'm not using guns. I'm not using guns. Damn it. Ah! Oh! If only she walked past. If she didn't walk past, we would have been fine. If she did. Aggressive, but alright. Let's do this. Gotta wait. Gotta wait. We gotta close that door. Then once we close the door, we can try to free him.
I love you. Yes, I do.
They're gonna move eventually. We gotta wait. We gotta wait.
If you break my heart, I'll die.
I've got you now.
Fuck.
So be sure.
Had enough?
For sure.
When you say I love you, it's a sin.
There we go. There we go. There we go. No, 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 no. Ah. Hey, I'm dead. All right. Well, that was definitely definitely bad. Ah. Will they notice if I carry the incinerator around with me? You think they'll notice?
I love you. Yes, I do. I love you. If you break my heart.
I got an idea, but I don't know if this is gonna work. Firstly, let's take off the incinerator.
So be sure.
Put back on.
When you say I love you, it's a sin to tell. Over here.
Ah, is there no way to release them without them noticing? Is there no way? Oh. I don't think if I release them, they're not gonna make it out alive.
Just because these words were spoken.
I thought they'd notice that.
Yes,
Yep. Boom. Easy.
So be sure it's true.
Oh, God.
When you say I love you, it's a sin to tell.
They'll never notice. They'll never know. How would they know?
Be sure it's true when you say I love you, honey.
Wait, another one's coming out.
You got sense enough to know it's a sin to tell a lie. Whole lot
Okay, we're
of
good.
folks' heart is done been broken. Just over a whole lot of foolish words that's been spoken.
No matter how I do this.
Yes, I do.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait. There is a way to do this. Toss out dynamite and close the door. That could work. But it'll have to be like really fast.
When you say I love you.
Bro, what? I didn't do anything. I didn't even do. Did they see me at a glass? They're like, what's that? What's that? What's that? They're like on edge.
And we're back. This is Mr. New
Maybe they can hear my radio. Maybe they can sneak and hear my head
talking about the gamma radiation.
through the walls.
All the
Oh.
latest news coming your way right now. Merchants are saying that there's been little contact
I didn't see
between
that.
traders from Nipton in recent days, causing concerns that the isolated town may be in trouble. Also, patrons of the Ultralux are questioning whether its pricey restaurant, the Gourmand, is overstating the fullness of its wait list. Those who claim to have dined at the restaurant find the food appealing, but say many tables remain.
Oh, I see her. She's behind the bin.
Knows whether it's good or bad.
Bitch.
Brings us closer together.
Sneaky, sneaky.
And now,
Can you stop calling everyone bitch, man? That's rude.
favorite songs for you.
Who's there?
No one?
Play it again, my Johnny. Come on. Thanks for the rest.
Well, it's time, folks. It's time to get out of here. All right, thank you for having me. I'm about to just go like that. It's no trouble, no absolute worry. It seems like they don't even care. Ah! This is gonna take a while. I'm not used to stealth missions. I've done a few, but they're always so difficult. And we can't uncrouch, which is the pain.
Thanks for the rescue.
Don't know I'm here still. They don't know I'm here still. Bro, those two did so fast and no one noticed. They were just like, oh yeah, you guys can go. You guys can go. Where's the guy that, where's the guy that, you know, let you go?
It's a sin to tell.
I really want to just toss one in, close the door. I'm sure it'll work.
Be sure it's true when you say I love you, honey.
Over here.
There we go. It did work, except it only crippled the left leg. Man. Sledgehammer, machete. What are we gonna use? Caravan shotgun's kind of decent. Sledgehammer's 22. What is Spike Caravan? 27. Yep. That's what we're doing. Headshots only today, folks. Headshots only. Oh, nah. Nah. I'm dipping. Peek around the corner, why don't you? Don't worry, I will. Not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. They're not even coming in here. I can take a second to chug some good old Cincinnatus. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, she fell for it. Except she didn't. She's actually still alive. What the hell? How did she survive? What? I zoomed in on that. Not too worried about that. I'm more worried about the fact that they literally survived a full-on straight shot to the head. Twice, not once, twice.
Thanks for the rescue.
Alright, now we gotta kill them all. I'm thinking dynamite. Dynamite's really the only thing I got going that's strong enough at this point. We could frag them as well. Ooh, that's 74. I likey. And we can toss a lot quickly. That's what I like most. Bro, they dip it. I dare you. I dare you. Open the door. No.
It's a sin to tell a lie. Whole lot of folks hard.
Look out!
Oh!
Come on!
Another one. And another one. Woo! Alright, that was a great start. That was a great start. Let's get this cowboy repeater up. The hell? How much health do the Great Khan have? I don't know. Alright, we just gotta chug all those. Chug all of that. Regenerate. Ooh, some Nuka-Cola. I'll take some of that. Some Psycho, that's necessary. Ooh, headshot. Ah! Oh wait, I'm not wearing armor. Oh, maybe that's why we died. Maybe that's why we had to peace out. Always wear armor, kids. Always wear armor. And always carry your handy-dandy sledgehammer. Too bad I didn't put too many points into that, you know? Would have been pretty handy, I think. Everything would have been pretty handy, honestly.
Thanks for the rescue.
Okay, get out, folks. Get out. Speed run into the exit.
What was that?
So be sure it's true.
Here we go.
When you say I love you, it's a sin.
Oh, come on. Really? That didn't work. That really didn't work. Oh, I'm getting shot from everywhere. We're dipping out the back. Ooh, wait, they're coming this way. I could use this to my advantage. Hippie! Oh, they're over there. Oh, yeah, I knew that. There we go, folks. Why does he sound like he's over here? Oh, whoa, what did I explode for that? To my birthday? Why there's so many explosions? Wait, I see him over there. Wait, I see him. NCR Trooper. I have 0 chance to hit. Oh, but I feel like they should still throw it, even if I have 0 chance. You know what I mean? I feel like it falling short would be so funny.
Welcome back to the Mr. New Vegas show. The show
There we go, folks. That's what we wanted. Juke it. Just for good measure, folks. Just for good measure. Oh. Sorry. Sorry. I'm helping. I'm helping.
Traders from Nipton in recent days, causing concerns that the isolated town may be in trouble. Also in the headlines, Prem formally sworn a new sheriff today. RNV reporters.
Bro, they swore new sheriff every day. He's the same goddamn sheriff.
Howdy do, folks. I'm Sheriff Myers. Be good, or I'll shoot you dead.
And that's...
Oh, God.
And now, I'd like to play one of my
No.
very favorite songs for you. Come on.
Oh. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right.
Come on.
I'm helping. Folks, I've accepted you as a helper nature. Let's go. I'm helpful, folks. I'm helpful. Oh, you're crippled? I'm sorry. My bad. I'm helpful, though. I'm helpful. Chairman job offer. Wait. Oh, and some stims. Let's go. Oh, sawed-off shotgun. That's pretty good. I'll take the 12 gauge then.
Never gone up against great cons before.
Sir, my eyes are up here when you're talking to me. My eyes are up here. Yeah, what's that face? All right, here we go. Oh, we level up to level 8. Let's go. Level 8. All right, let's see. What should we level up? Survival. Hit points you receive from food and drink. Helps you create consumable items at campfires. We also got more gun, but I feel like we need to think smart now. I don't know what we should do instead. Explosives sound fun, but I think I need some like health, you know? Replenish upon using the stim pack. This would help me a lot, I'll be honest. Let's put 3 in there and 3 in there. Get it a nice 20, 39, 20. Oh, we do have this. Oh, we got a lot here. With strength perk can carry 50 more pounds. Whoa. You gain +5 threshold against all melee weapons, unarmed attacks, and cannot be knocked down. You can be knocked down in this game? That's never happened to me. You don't take kindly to raiders, junkies, or tribals trying to settle or stay alive in civilized lands against dirty raiders and junkie types, as well as Zion's tribes. You're 50. What? That is insane. That is like some insane racism right there. What is it called? Sneering? Oh, okay. You know what? That checks out. That checks. That checks out. This is actually something I think I need. 50% faster to equip and holster weapons. Shotgun surgery. Precision with scatter shot, something to behold. When using shotguns or gunning ammunition, ignore 10 additional hit points of damage threshold. Okay, 3 over. This perk may be taken twice with the second rank, gaining a +3. Oh. This might be handy. While using a rifle, your accuracy and VAT significantly increased. I think toughness might actually be better for us. Go toughness. A little more toughness, you know? Put some hair on your chest. Help you out a bit. Alright, there we go. I want to get guns up to 100 first, though. That's the first thing I want to get, like, maxed out, is guns. Because what's better than shooting someone and their entire body vaporizing? You know what I mean? Good protection model of a robot was created in the Great War and served as a security automaton. Hey, did I do great or did I do great? You know what I'm saying?
Man, I thought I was dead.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I did great. All right, let's keep going. Where am I going? Is the Sergeant General man's over here somewhere? What? What is this? What quest am I doing? Confront Benny at the Tops Casino. Is this the guy that tried to kill me? That's the guy that tried to kill me. We're finally confronting him. I think I want to go here first though. Repcon headquarters. I don't know who Repcon are, but we might as well go there. Say a little hi. That was so fun though. I haven't done stealth in a long time, so great that we finally got to. Victor, well, I'll be damned. What's up, buddy?
Just rolling along on my spurs. Looks like I just.
I feel like Victor's stalking us. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like he's stalking us.
Yep. Guess it's just down to you and Fancy Pants. I wouldn't worry about him. He looks all hat and no cattle, if you ask me.
What does that mean?
Fancy Pants?
Oh, that's Fancy Pants? Oh!
I've him since the tussle in Good Springs.
Oh.
I'm sure he ran back to the soft living of New Vegas, though.
Oh. It's good to see you again. I don't like being followed by a robot. No. Victor's nice. He may be a stalker, but he's nice, okay?
Yeah. This is getting mighty embarrassing. People gonna start to talk.
We're friends, buddy. We're friends. Whether you like it or not. All right, you buy the first one when we get to Vegas? Hell yeah. I'll take you up on that, okay? I'll take you up on that.
Hey there. Need anything?
I don't know how many caps we have. Let's take a peek. We have 300 caps in years. Let's see if we can sell some stuff. 12 gauge rounds. Armor piercing. We don't have anything for armor piercing. I literally don't have anything for armor piercing or 5.56 rounds. There we go. Okay, we got some money. BRB, folks, I need to go to the bathroom again. Oh, my favorite song. Let's go. Let's go. My favorite song's playing. And I love it so. Alright, well, we don't need to talk to this guy anymore. Excusez-moi. I'm gonna dip now. Can I keep up with him, you think? Can I keep up with him? We could run all the way together, but I kind of want to go this direction instead, not gonna lie. So why am I just hearing dynamite is so scary. I'm just gonna bare knuckles. The bare knuckles are cool. Look at that. Shadow boxing. I'm practicing as I go along. You know. There we go. Good practice. Getting some good practice in. You know what I'm saying? When I come to Benny, I'm not gonna kill him, but I'm gonna get darn close to it. Well, what you say about this, Benny? What? You know? This is how it is. This is how it is, folks. This is how it is. The wine is finally wore off.
Welcome back to the Mr. New Vegas show. The show
Damn, got a headache now. The wine.
The best looking audience around.
Please tell me these guys are nice. I don't want to fight. Maybe I do.
Love our next segment.
Oh, a trade. Oh, yo, chug.
You've done a good turn for the NCR, and I would like to do one for you.
Who?
There's an NCR emergency two-way radio. You call, and we'll come running.
Oh!
You're not alone out here. The NCR has your back.
Who are you?
Stay safe and good hunting.
NCR Ranger.
But have been unable to identify them due to low visibility.
Hey, yo, what's up?
Slopping shop. Like our slogan says, it's better than
He doesn't even stop drinking for this, man. He doesn't even stop drinking for this. All right, spiked knuckles. Let's get that one there. All right, we're good. Otherwise, we're good. Can't be repaired past 64. Can't be repaired. All right, we're good. Let's finish that up then. Let's see what they got for sale. Ooh, we got a lot here. I think most of this is necessary though, not gonna lie. Service rifle out of here. Let's I know you like some scotch, keep it on. Ooh, I want to keep the salt off, not gonna lie, I want to keep the salt off. Ranger's hat, you can take that. I don't really care about it. There's some cigarettes, game fruit, a spoon. The spoon's worth something, I knew it. Approximate speed, knives, belts, 4 Legion Darius, whatever that is. Hunting rifle, you can take that. Fixer. Get you fixed it. I don't need these energy things, so you can keep them. That's about it. Alright. We're back on top, baby. Back on top. But hold on, I actually want to see if I can buy some stuff. We're gonna buy some food. Apples? Oh, I love apples. I love me. Oh, it's just a drink bar. It's literally just a drink bar. No, wait, hold on. I actually wanted some of that stuff. Go. And then... You're just standing at the edge there.
No offense, but you look like you've traveled a long way down some bad roads. Where'd you come from?
Oh, damn. Good Springs.
Wow, you have come a long way.
We're far from home, baby.
But I've met some traders who passed that way. Well, welcome then. I'm Veronica. I live in a hole in the ground.
Oh, so she's the mole person. Are they real?
Well, a bunker, if you want to get technical.
Okay. Yeah, I was getting my hopes up that we'd finally see some mole people.
Anymore. I'm usually out here picking up food and supplies for my family. Whatever they need. Yeah, I'm not worried. They can handle themselves. But somebody has to get the groceries, know what I mean?
Fair is fair.
And actually these days, I think they'd rather have me out here anyway. But that's a whole other story.
Oh. Yeah.
So listen, can I ask you something on the level?
Okay.
I had a run-in with this group calling themselves the Brotherhood of Steel.
Oh.
Strange bunch. Do you know anything about them?
I've only heard they shot lasers from their eyes. They shot lasers from their eyes. You hear me? Is my intelligence really that low?
Wow. I've got to admit, you have completely defied my first impression of you. Eye lasers.
Yeah.
I'll be sure and look out for that next time.
Don't worry. I got you. See, we're helping out, folks. There are enemies in the NCR. If they're there, you should turn them in right away.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see where they
Why does she sound so much more like realistic on that one? Did you not believe my eye thing with the eye lasers? That's real. They shoot lasers out of their eyes. And they eat out of their buttholes. Come on, you gotta believe me. I seen it. Oh shit. I wanted to come down here. I want to see what this is. The forecaster. Bro, it's just a kid.
Hi, mister. I hope you're doing fine today.
What's that thing on your head? You sell thoughts?
I can take off my medicine and do some thinking.
Oh, damn.
People say it's real interesting. I don't know, because I never hear it.
Hear
Some
what?
people say that it's a gift. Other people say it's the kind of thinking anyone could do if they watched more than they talked. I don't know which is true. I see a lot. I think a lot. There's a lot to hear through the 188, too. That maybe accounts for the thinking.
The fuck? What is the medicine and how do you take it off?
This thing on my head is headache medicine.
Oh.
It works real good.
Oh, no, that does. Headache medicine, you say? Sure, buddy, sure. Sure, buddy.
Great. What do you want me
I want to see what happens. I gotta see.
You, here, or everywhere? What do you want?
Think about everywhere.
Let me take off my medicine.
Let's see.
Bull and bear over the dam, at each other's throats. But a light from Vegas? Balls spinning on the wheel. More than 2 at the table. Placing bets.
What?
All lose in different ways. A dam of corpses. Towns of corpses. Scattered across the sand. But whose? In what shares? Even the dealer doesn't know. Forecast, a rain of blood will flood the desert and not purify it. Thinking about everywhere always makes me feel a little sick.
Just what I was there for. You heard me
That's not.
All right, well, I'm gonna dip now. What? Bro, that kid is freak. Is he an oracle of some sort? Is he like an oracle? Because that did not sound like a 10-year-old kid talking to me. That sounded like, you know, somebody else, you know, an ancient being or some sort. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But that definitely didn't sound like a kid. Definitely not. That spaceship? That alien space, does it not look like an alien spaceship for this direction? I have a bad feeling everything's going way too well. I'm gonna save right now. Okay, nothing bad happened. Actually, that's kind of shocking. All right. I thought something bad was gonna happen there. Nah, we can't be off. We can't be off the sunset. I need to take more. We can't even be off our sunset. I need that sunset. Ha! That sunset. Oh shit, I'm going the wrong direction. Oh, it's right here. Never mind. We weren't going too far. All right, let's talk to this town. I love talking to the towns. It's so interesting how deep the lore is for everyone, you know? It's so deep. Crazy. Looking for a love of my own. Without a dream in my heart. Without a love of my own. That's nice. All right, here it is. What is this place?
Welcome back to the Mr. New Vegas show, the show within
Put more in me.
in which I respect the best-looking audience around. Prove me wrong.
Hello?
Great news, you're gonna love our next segment.
Hit this button.
A package courier found shot in the head near Good Springs has reportedly regained consciousness.
I'm pressing E, it doesn't do anything.
Now that's a delivery service.
Holding balls. And those chainsaws. Oh, that's a blowtorch. Oh, wow, interesting. Yeah, we're not gonna mess with that. Ha, we're not gonna mess with that, are we? Ha! We're in. We found Repcon. I don't know what Repcon's about, but we're gonna go in and talk to Repcon. Whoa.
Security is well worth the price of admission.
What the fuck was that?
That news was brought to you by the top.
Wasn't that crazy?
You'll dig us, baby. We're the tops.
Friend corpse or fiend corpse. Rated sadistic armor. Oh, it shows their nipples. Oh, how quirky.
But you shouldn't, because it's
Oh, frag grenade. That's nice. Ooh, they have some nice stuff. Like cigarettes as well. I'll take that. All right, how we doing, Vogues? How are we doing?
Welcome to Repcon headquarters.
Hello. Oh, I'm in you. You're hitting me on the head. Ow, it hurts. Ow. Oh. You're inside of me. Stop it. He's literally jiggling my giblets. Hold on.
Hello. Please remember visiting hours are from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. Please show your badge or make your way out of the building.
No. No. Bye. What is this? Plasma what? What is this? The drift cylinders? That's all they are. That's all they are. There's even a nuclear family. Wow, can I get some good old rads? Oh, it's not real. Lame, it's not real. Not real rads. Ooh, there's some places. Oh, nice. Plates. Okay, well that doesn't work. Ooh, lunch boxes. Does that give me food? I think that gives me food. Let's go. This is a museum, I'm guessing, right? Museum. Ready, set, launch. Very nice. Ooh.
Stay outside of restricted areas.
Not bad. Should I be worried about that? I don't know what that was. Hello?
When you say I love you, you
Oh.
have been warned.
Oh.
Please vacate the premises or you will be considered an intruder.
Now. There's nothing over there. Nothing over here. There's literally nothing to see, man. Oh, wait, hold on.
This is Radio New Vegas.
Never mind, we'll come back here later. Note this place on the map, by the way. We'll come back here later.
To the right place, you have. And now the news. Prim formally
What?
sworn in as sheriff today. RNV reporters were on hand.
Hi.
The new sheriff addressed
Oh.
the crowd.
Howdy do, folks. I'm sure
I see. Assassin. We're all assassins.
You for death, and the Legion obeys. Ready yourself for battle.
Alright, hold on. Pause. You said ready myself. Give me a second.
One anonymous soldier said it was part of a new strategy. We'll have more news for you at the top of the hour.
Take some of that. Emergency. I don't want to use that just yet. I'm fine for now. I'm okay. Become addicted to drugs. Take more drugs to alleviate the side effects or visit a doctor to be cured. Oh, so there are consequences. Damn, alright. Help me! Wait, hold on. Actually, calling them might actually be good. Volunteer for, trooper support. Troopers! Come on. Oh, he has a bigger hammer. I gotta defend my hammer pride, okay? Bonk! It's bouncing off of him like a plaything, you know what I mean? There we go. We're switching weapons. Where's my sawed-off shotgun? Ooh, lever action shotgun. In pole condition, that's fine. In the face. Huh? What do you mean? Bro, what are you talking about? Oh, the NCR helping me? They're helping me! Let's go! Alright, I'm hiding here. Here they are, folks! Here they are! Alright, now we can get real close. You can get real close. It's more armored on the body, so I'm just gonna face. This is not working very well! Bro, his brains should be goop by now, and he's still alive somehow. Ow! What? No, keep going. We're fine. NCR, is the NCR dead, man? They got trapped in the foot. Damn it. There's still 3 of— oh wait, hold on. I have grenades. Shit. There we go. I have 3 chances. Ah! Oh wait, that might have— yeah, I don't know what I don't know what I expected. Alright, well, we might need to call the NCR for this, man. These guys are tough. What do you mean?
In case you're wondering if you've come to the right place, you have. And now the news. Prim formally sworn in as sheriff today.
Are we good?
RNV reporters were on hand.
He's still coming? Oh no, they're still here. They're still here.
You folks, I'm Sheriff Myers. Be good, or I'll shoot you dead.
In other news, word out of Camp Golf is that many
Resupply, dismiss NCR, call for NCR support.
One anonymous soldier said it was part of a new strategy. We'll have more news for you at the top of the hour. And now, I'd like to play one of my very
You know what? Maybe I could just run away. Maybe I could just run away. Unless I give them. Boom. Unless I boom them. They gotta talk to me before they do anything. They have to. It's part of their shtick. There we go. Get him. Oh, what was that? I think I got the maintenance robot on its bad side. The maintenance robot now! Bro, that thing is the strongest thing ever. No. We're not doing this. Maintenance robot Summer, it was an accident. Do you know what accidents are? I don't think you do. Crippled his arm, nice. That's a start. I'm like mostly dead. You wanna go? You wanna keep going? I got dynamite for days, baby, days. Oh shit. Ring around the rosy, you can't catch me. Fuck you. Oh, what? He's right behind me again. There we go. Somehow we got it. Is it fully dead? It's fully dead. Let's go. We got flavor fuel as well. Yank. Mine. Also, all of them are still alive. Just a note. Chewing tobacco. Get some beer in us. You gain the day tripper perk. What does that mean? Become addicted to drugs. Great. That good? They don't even know where I am. So dumb. Bro, they don't know where I am. I think I can just dip. What are they shooting at? What are they shooting at? I'm still too far? Oh shit, this guy noticed. This guy noticed. I missed! I'm out. I'm out. These guys are way too tough for me, bro. Way too tough. I don't know how you're still hitting me from this distance as well. This is impossible. You should not be able to. I'm out. I'm out. See you later. I'm going to New Vegas. See you. Never and never and never and never. Bro, another moth has gotten into my room. What? Get out! They must be coming through the vents. It's on my screen. Get out of here. Oh, what? Now some guys in the front are shooting me? Why are you guys shooting me? Oh. What? Fire? It shoot fire? For real? Nah. I ain't messing with any of that. None of that is... I'm not touching any of that. There we go. We escaped the Legionnaires. We escaped them. We did it, folks. We did it. What is this place, by the way? Oh. Inns. You know what? They're sadomasochists. It's fine. We'll be good. We'll be fine. Let's get a good old... You know what? Let's get my spike glove. Let's go. Let's go. That's what I thought. Oh, whoa, laser guns. Ow, 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 ow. Dodge. Dodge. Ow, what? I thought they didn't use laser guns. I thought they like just pain. Alien Technologies offices. Is this Area 52 or 51? Which one was it? Area 51, right? Area 51? Area 51. Is this Area 51? Looks a little different than normal. But it does make sense. It does make sense. It was in Nevada. They're running away. They're leaving me alone. Let's keep going then. How do I get in past this big wall, by the way? Hello? Eres, Ryberus?
I pity anyone who crosses Boyd. That woman is relentless.
Okay. I am worse. I punch anyone. I punch babies.
Sure doesn't inspire confidence in the guys.
How do I get there? Look at this weird route, man. That is such a weird. I knew I should have suspected something weird when I saw that. I knew it. Should I just go a naked run? Not naked, but like no armor run. Dude just has the mask on. Punchy McPunch Man. That's who his name's gonna be. Womp womp womp. That's kind of fun, actually. Not gonna lie. Play off the road. I feel like somebody's gonna come on the road, and if I'm just, yeah, blending in, they'll never see me. I actually, my t-shirt actually does blend in with the brick. Kill NCR. Well, that doesn't inspire confidence. Can't get it through there. God. Oh, there it is. We didn't even have to get past the wall. Fuck the NCR. I'm starting to feel die NCR, kill NCR. I'm starting to feel like they might hate the NCR, guys. I may be wrong, though. They may be in bed with them. We're gonna have to find out. This song is banger, by the way. All we need is somewhere over the rainbow. You know that song?
What the hell?
Oh. Oh. I was trying to say hi.
Mr. New Vegas, and in case you're wondering if you've come to the right place, you have. And now the news. Prem formally sworn a new sheriff today. RNV reporters were on hand to hear the new sheriff address the crowd.
Howdy do, folks.
What's happened?
I'm Sheriff Myers. Be good, or I'll shoot you dead.
That's my sheriff, man. That's my sheriff.
Is that many NCR Rangers can expect redeployment in the near future.
That's my sheriff, man. He says what he thinks, and he does it. He isn't one of those guys that are like, oh, I'm gonna shoot you, and they don't do anything. He will shoot you. He will most definitely shoot you. Okay, there's the wall. We can go around it. Alien facilities. They all got the alien dussy in there. Got the alien dussy. I need it. What? Oh, they shot it! A fission battery, that's kind of useful. Got some scotch and stuff in here. That's actually pretty decent. Ash pile. Oh, that ash pile has 70 bottle caps. Can I get some more ash piles in here? I'd love to have some more ash piles. If all of them have 70 in them, I'll take them all. Give it to me. Alright, break our way there.
The Kaisar has marked you for death, and the Legion obeys. Ready yourself for battle.
Can I not? Can you guys leave me alone? Shit. I guess we can call in NCR emergency radio. Send out the Rangers, baby. Ah! No. Oh, my leg's crippled. Oh, I'm crippled. Oh, I'm never gonna walk ever again. Boop. Pop a few stims. Back to normal. Bro, they're so tough. There we go. Fight him. I'm sorry I have to leave you like this. Fight him. I'm sorry, brothers. I'm sorry. Do you have anything good on you, by the way? I will remember your name. No, I won't. I'm lying. I'm out. I feel bad, but I'm gonna die a gajillion times before I can fight those guys. They're so tough. Ooh. Pretty. Hi. I'm friendly. Oh, look at this place. It actually has a working road in it. Working train station. Kind of crazy, not gonna lie. That's kind of, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, whoa. Oh, okay.
Ranger at the ready.
Oh, here you are. All right.
Ranger at the ready.
Who are those guys back there then? Who are those guys back there that died shooting them? What? Okay, I guess you're coming with me then. Follow me, soldier. Follow me. If they ask for a sacrifice, it's gonna be you. How am I doing? I'm still doing pretty decent. I'm doing fine. Just staying with me, great. Just staying with me, good. I think we're almost there where we need to go. I don't know where we're going, but we're gonna confront Benny. You don't know who Benny is, but where's she going? Is she leaving? Oh, I did say, that she just missed Soldier. I forgot about that. Resupply 2400. Resupply soon, soldier. Gotta resupply soon. There's the gate. Let me in. Need to talk to Benny. You know what, Benny? You know Betty Ballbuster?
Is there something
You know who he is? I'm here to look for Betty Ballbuster.
I'll help you if I can. What are you looking for?
Benny Ballbuster. I'm looking for work.
Well, I know Major Daughtry is offering bounties on some of the fiends.
Ooh.
That's the gang that controls the southeast part of the city. You can find
want
the
it.
Major at the camp just outside of the old airport.
I'm looking to buy and sell things.
The Crimson
Sorry.
Caravan Company is north of here. They have just about everything you need. But if you're in the market for guns, go see the gun runners. They're expensive, but they have stuff no one else carries.
Bro, my computer charger also fell out. Alright. I need a doctor.
There's a medic at Camp McCarran, but I've also heard there's a civilian doctor in the northeast part of New Vegas. I
Alright.
don't know for sure.
Alright, thank you. Can I come in by? I'll just walk in. Oh. Bro, I can just walk in and they don't even care. They're just like, you can walk in, buddy. No trouble. Check you. We're not gonna check you. That's crazy people talk. Let's go talk to Benny. I'm gonna take a little break. Go talk to Benny. I just need to talk to him. Need to talk to him a little bit. Bro, that the fucking makes this so much better. I love it. Makes time pass so much quicker. In here? Oh no, I keep going, alright. This place is huge. Damn! I bet you get a real good view from up there. Crazy. Oh, can I come in, by the way? Will they let me in? Gun runners. Activate companion dismissal terminal. Dismiss all companions? I don't have any companions.
Hello, potential customer.
Hi.
Welcome, sir or madam. Do you wish to purchase?
Ooh, they have some nice guns back here. Did you see that gun? Hold on. I saw a long sniper rifle there. 7K? Oh my god. Oh, submachine gun 9mm. I already had one of those before. There we go. 7K anti-material rifle. We need this. I need this. I will be back. Unless I can rob you. Can I? You got any, Bro doesn't even have an exit or entrance place. They knew. They knew. Break down all of that. Nice. Now let's see, can we make anything? We can make some 12 gauge. Oh. Break all that down. Alright. We are noticeably going slower, but that's fine. Oh. What are you making? Ooh, wait. I want that gun on your belt. Look at that. Why does he not have it in his pocket? Isaac.
I don't handle buying and selling for the gun runners. Talk to the robot in the kiosk near our factory.
You work for the gun runners?
For around 5 years now. I handle the supply end of things, raw materials and stuff.
Ooh. Who are the gun runners, by the way? I don't know.
The finest high-grade weapons and ammunition in the
You know what? That makes sense. That makes sense.
Get your hands on a piece of sweet, deadly hardware, there's a good chance that it came from one of our factories.
Oh. Any chance I can get a tour?
None whatsoever.
Ah.
Inside the fence is off limits, and the guards have strict orders to shoot to kill.
Oh.
A lot of our high-end weaponry comes from pre-war military schematics.
Oh, damn.
Got a hold of them,
No wonder I recognized a bunch of them.
Out here, we don't have bosses.
Oh.
The gunsmiths and the guards all know what we're supposed to be doing. Working for the gun runners is a sweet job. None of us would dare screw it up.
That's fair, that's fair. You want to play a hand of No, I don't want to. No, I don't want to play a hand of Caravan. I'm good, I'm good. A hard pass on that. Why is it pointing inside of here? Do I need to mess with the gun runners? I didn't want to mess with the gun runners, man. I don't want to mess with them.
The legate then ordered a 10th of his own force be killed by the other 9/10.
Enter Freeside. Huh? We can enter this place? That sounded kind of deadly. We're in Freeside, baby. Ooh-wee. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Hello, Dixon.
Fix, man. I got what you need.
Is your last name Big? Big Dixon? I'm messing. What's up? What you got? What you got? Oh, we got whiskey. We got a fixer. I might need one of those. And I might take a buff out, not gonna lie. There you go. Now, can I rob you for as much caps as I got out? RG1. You also got some different stuff. You got stim packs. Alright. What? Was somebody already mad at me? What? Hey! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! They were bad people, okay? I helped these people. You are welcome. Okay, everyone's being nice to me. Hey, you're welcome. Yeah, she was coming at him with a knife, okay? I'm good on him. That place looks like I'm not supposed to go in it. Ah, yes. The wall of metal. Can I go through here, please? Can I have a quick pass to go through here? Can I dip through? Is that possible? Damn, literally nothing behind me. Better break this. Damn, that's some tough glass. Must be pre-wall. Must be pre-wall. Ooh. No, it's before. Oh. Rats! What? Why do you have a white child?
We're gonna have rat tonight.
Well, then go get him. Okay, damn. That kid's like, we're gonna have rat tonight. We're gonna eat for the first time this week. Let's go. Okay, we're going deeper and deeper into this place. Got it.
Come to Mick and Ralph's for all your shopping needs. Hello.
Guess child slavery is on the rise here these days. The ninja perk grants you the ability of the fabled... Did it say ninja warrior? The kings. I think this is where we need to go. School of Impersonation. OP enrollment. School of Impersonation. Wait, no, it doesn't look like it's actually aiming here.
Saw a guy try to rush through the south gate a few days ago. Nothing left but dust, you know.
Hey, yo, you know how I'll be. No one gets through the front gate. This must be your twin brother.
Haven't seen you around.
Yeah, I'm new. I came for one little Benny Bust. Benny Ballbuster, you know what I mean? Benny Ballbuster, where are you at? Not a common name, Benny Ballbuster. It's so hard to say 3 times fast. Benny Ballbuster, Benny Ballbuster, Benny Ballbuster, except for me. Get Benny. Ooh, that's a nice big sign there. Like a peacock flaring its wings. Alright, Benny Ball. Ooh, what?
You look near the free side, so here's a little advice, friend. Don't go past the Southgate greeter without talking to it first.
Oh, why wouldn't I want to go past the greeter?
Those bots are programmed to vaporize anyone who enters the fenced-in area without authorization from the greeter.
Oh, thanks for the free advice. Who are you? What?
The name's Old Ben.
Old Ben. First name Old, last name Ben, or is that just describing you?
I've done a bit of everything around here. Courier, butcher, crier, escort, gun for hire.
Crier. Ah, yes, my favorite occupation.
To help around town when needed.
Word on Camp Golf is...
Harry used to be a courier, got shot in the head.
Exactly one of the reasons I got out of that job. Too many shifty characters looking to have someone else move their hot items.
Fair. Butcher, how'd you get that? Crier, what was that job?
After a while, I made enough money to get a passport into Vegas. Back then, you could get approved for entry for a fraction of what it costs now. Well, I got a job working as a crier outside of the Tops.
He's not explaining what a crier is. What is a crier?
That didn't last long. Well, being a suave young guy, I chatted up the ladies from time to time, and one of the manager's girls...
Oh, nah, and he got jealous and he castrated you, didn't he?
But the jealous prick decided it was my time to go. He framed me by saying I'd stolen from the casino.
Oh,
sure enough,
that's tough. That's tough.
Missing from the casino vault. I have to assume the bastard stole the funds and figured I was a convenient fall guy.
All right, fair. That's horrible.
Yeah, but what can you do? I was stripped of my casino apartment.
Bro, he's so chill. If it was me, I would have gone into all the time. I'd been like, all right, let's go together. You know, type of thing. All right, sounds odd. All right. It scored like armed guards.
I suppose you could look at it that way, but I was packing a whole different kind of heat. No, escort just sounds better.
I see. All right.
My job too.
I wasn't sure what kind of escort. You know, mercenary escort, bedroom escort. You needed to explain a little more to me. All right, guns for hire.
When I quit the escort job, I had enough money to buy a pistol belt and some other gear.
You didn't rob it off of anyone? That's what I did.
Honest living.
I see. All right, let's talk about something else. Goodbye. Let's talk about us leaving, all right? And also, let's talk about me doing a little bit of saving and seeing what happens.
Submit to a credit check or present your passport before proceeding to the gate. Trespassers will be shot.
Okay, okay. 2,000?
Please return.
All right. Oh, there we going. He's going to get... Oh, he got vaporized. Well done, officers. Well done, well done. I know you guys will do the work good. All right, all right. How many caps do I have? 500. I need like 1,500 or so much science that he literally gets controlled by me. Ricky Suez. So let's see what we can find. I hope we can find some jobs around here. I need some jobs, man. I need some jobs. Either that or find another way to get in. I just need more money. I already saved. Let me try it out.
Submit to a credit check.
Dipping. Dipping dots. Dippin' dots, dippin' dots, dippin' dots. Ah, damn it. Oh, damn it. I didn't know they'd stop it with a key. Oh. Oh. I don't know why I'm sitting like that. Kind of funny. All right, well, we need to make some money then. We can't just... Well, that guy's dead. Anyways, let's go find some money. I don't think we're getting 80 science anytime soon, so we're gonna need to do some other quests, I think. Epic Trials Expedition. That one seems kind of fun. Also, there's one that's close to Prim, isn't it? Travel to the canyon wreckage near Prim and enter the divide. This one. That one seems kind of interesting. That? Canyon wreckage near Prim. Alright, let's do that. I bet we can make some money there. Let's not spend too much money. Let's not spend too much money. We're going to be making, and that's what we gotta do. Bro, it's been a while since I've been to Prim. It's been a while. Oh, kind of feels, you know, even though it's only been like 4-6 hours, it feels kind of sad that I haven't come back here since last time, you know. There we go. All right, well, actually, I'm gonna stop right here, folks. I'm gonna stop right here because it's actually time to end the stream. I have to wake up a little early tomorrow and get going, so I'm gonna end this. Yeah, now I do have to exit this game, sadly. Close it, otherwise I'd just end on this screen. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you will come back and check out another stream, but I'm not forcing, it's just a hope. Now, thank you all so much for watching, and my name is Ryberus, and I will see you in the next stream, which will be, what day is today? Thursday. I'll be streaming on Saturday. Look out for it. And also look out for the VODs channel. I'm almost done setting everything up and putting all the VODs on there. It took a little bit of time. Bye.